Welcome in to Sports Time on a Thursday. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. And it's a big day. It's a big Thursday. It's not like most Thursdays around here because tonight we've got college football with the Tigers taking on Navy. We also have NFL football with the Eagles and the Vikings in the Thursday night game. So a lot going on tonight, but we'll be with you for the next 3 hours, and we will talk a ton of college football, a ton of Tigers, and we'll definitely get into some NFL as well, previewing tonight's game. But like I said, Brian and Brett with you. Brett, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing great, Brian. I'm with you. Miss Jay Morgan, he's going to be back with us Monday, but we're going to have a big time today, and leading right up to Tigers kickoff is the game that will start the college football weekend with a great team in from ESPN for the national TV watchers. I know locally Tiger fans want to consume the Tiger Network. I don't blame them because it's done really well there, and I'm looking forward to watching the game tonight. And every game, Brian, I don't want to put undue. Doesn't matter what I say, but I don't want to put undue pressure on anybody. But of course, it's must. But every game in college football, especially in this rabid college football area that we live and consume and so enjoy, every weekend feels like win or die.
Yeah. Oh, no, you're absolutely
it does.
Oh, it does.
You got to face the neighbors and you got to face your friends and, you get this. And sadly, and I'm not big on this, you know that. I don't pick it, the team that won too often. To the victor go the spoils. But sometimes we even pick it people that you didn't win the right way.
That's right.
And I don't think that should be put on the Tigers tonight, especially with that unique offensive style that the Navy has. Just win, baby.
Yeah, just take care of business, win the next game in front of you. But you're right. I mean, this really starts the season for the Tigers being a conference game, being the first conference game, and also just that kind of stretch of games. You've mentioned it going even back to last week when talking about Arkansas State of, everyone had the Tigers starting the season 2-0. They have them starting 3-0 with a win tonight against Navy. That's just how the math added up if you thought the Tigers were going to have a decent to really good season this year. And so I think a lot of people are expecting the Tigers to take care of business tonight against Navy, but really, when you look at this Navy team, I think it always worries you as a fan, as a coach, no matter how good or bad you think that team is, with their approach, that triple option style. Now you have Brian Newberry in there, the new head coach, and he has publicly said, and you've seen it through the first two games, that they're switching things up a little. They're going to still run the triple option, but you're seeing more pass plays, you're seeing more dropbacks by the quarterback, and so I think you'll see a different triple look option tonight, and we'll see how this Tiger defense that we've been talking a lot about to start the season, how they look against that triple option.
If I could plan tonight any way, if I could just script it to have my way, how it would unfold. And now you would lose some audience in this, but the audience watching, I think, would learn. I know they would learn from Matt Berry and Coach Dan Mullen and Harry Lyles. And Dan Mullen, no stranger to Memphis, has been in here for bowl games at Mississippi State and playing ball and recruiting and speaking and all that stuff. So no stranger, and he knows about the story of the Memphis Tigers. I guarantee you Matt Berry does. And that's what more people nationally needs to learn, because we know the Tigers' history here locally. We all know it pretty well. We know the big wins. We know the bright spots historically in Tiger football, but I don't know that nationally people know that. I think, unfortunately, some nationally stereotype the Tigers kind of in the worst years, kind of the Larry Porter years, the worst of Ray Dempsey. And way back when you had some rankings of college football's top 20 worst teams. Kansas State often would be in that. Well, they broke out of that. And sometimes the Tigers would get lumped in that. But we know of the Alabama wins and the Ole Miss wins and the Tennessee win. And we know about what's been done. We also know, except for at the end, the Tommy West years mattered.
Oh, yeah.
They mattered here locally. He was a coach you could really like and support. And at the end, it got him. Then Larry Porter, and then the real kind of renaissance, the real, starting out with the loss against UT Martin. But from that point on, what Justin Fuente, Mike Norvell, and I think Ryan Silverfield will do. In a blowout in a second half, Matt Berry gets to tell that to a nationwide audience. Maybe some skeptical, some dubious, and some unknowing.
Yeah, no, and I think that'd be great, and I think what would be even better is if you have that kind of blowout where you can talk about the recent success of Memphis, this turnaround of a program, and also while doing that, you have a stadium that's pretty full for a Thursday night game. I know Ryan Silverfield called Memphians, even if you're not a diehard blue bleeding Tiger fan,
come on
down and watch some football, and let's give ESPN a good look at the city of Memphis. So I'm hoping a lot of people
show those artists renderings, show what could happen, and somebody sitting out there, because look, the last 2 years, really starting in 21 with Texas OU, 22 with USC UCLA, this summer largely after media days before opening day. It's almost impossible to top that. Next summer on realignment, it'll get close.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And so I think tonight it will be a huge game for the Tigers. I think anytime, a lot of people ask, well, why are you playing on Thursday night? Why? But you get that ESPN broadcast. You get to be center stage. I think there's only 2 college football games tonight. It's the Memphis Navy on ESPN, and I think ACC Network, Bethune-Cookman in Miami. So really, if you're a fan out there in Alabama or in Wyoming, and you're just clamoring for college football on a Thursday night, the really only show in town is Memphis versus Navy. So hopefully there will be a lot of eyes on Memphis tonight, and hopefully Memphis can go out and put up a good showing.
And we know that college football is getting consumed. Yesterday there were a lot of tweets from Ross Dellinger. There was one from Dan Wetzel, and I'm there now. Dan Wetzel's tweet yesterday was this, at his Twitter site, at Dan Wetzel. I want to give him credit. Record TV ratings, packed stands, sky-high interest. ADs, commissioners, NCAA lawyers, old coaches, and establishment media claimed NIL and the transfer portal would ruin college football and push fans away. Wrong then, wrong now. Maybe next year. And it won't be next year.
No.
And it was my mantra all summer to, honestly, a lot of people around my age, man, I can't stand this. I said, college football has never been in better shape.
Right.
It always goes through this evolutionary sorting out process. I told you, Brian, I can remember when Numbskull said integration would ruin college football. How stupid do they look? They did then. They really do. They really do now. It's been college football has been on blast as being a house of cards for its entire existence. 154 years, there's been stories of whether it's been injury, whether it's been scandal, conference realignment. It has been on notice forever that, this is the one that's going to do it, and nothing's done it. I probably should save this for later for what I learned today. But I've known it, so I didn't learn it today. It's just been confirmed. NFL and college football, too big to fail.
I would agree with that. I would agree. I mean, I think when you look at sports in America, I mean, it's probably NFL and college football right there, 1 and 2, and so I think you're absolutely right. I mean,
untouchable.
And I'm right there with you. I mean, when people say, "Oh, NIL is the death of college football," expansion is or realignment, I should say, is the death of college football. Transfer portal is the death of college football. I mean, this season, small sample size, only 2 weeks, but it's been thrilling. It's been so exciting. The teams that are out there that going into the season you didn't really know much about it. Colorado, good example, have used NIL, used the transfer portal, used a new coach, and now are the team of the year so far through 3 weeks. And so, you're going to have the change. A lot of people, I'm one of them with a lot of things. I don't like a lot of change. And so I think for some people it's hard for them to accept change, but I think college football is in a great spot right now.
But the change is baked in the cake. It's always changing.
Oh yeah.
And now we do have to learn our rosters more. We have to get more familiar with our players, because we used to, we'd have them 4 years, then it moved to 3 years. Now it's moving to 1 year, and a new phase of college football that people better get ready for. and I'm not going to offer any names, but you can fill in the example. It could. I will offer names. It could be Seth Hennigan at Memphis.
Yeah.
It could be Quinshawn Judkins at Ole Miss. It could be. It could be KJ Jefferson at Arkansas.
Sure.
They're probably on the hook for big NIL at all those places for those players.
Yeah.
Factor in a player at Tennessee if you'd like, whomever. And they have a big year this year. Well, guess what? It's all 1 year hitches.
Oh, yeah.
Their NIL for next year is going up.
Prices keep going up.
The places are gonna have to decide for any of those names I just offered. Let's say the going rate for them is $600,000.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
That is a lot
That's
of
more money than I can imagine. But let's say that's the going rate. They have a big year this year. You know what they're going to want next year? It's probably going to start at about 800 or 9.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe $1 million. Then you're going to have to decide, well, do we give $1 million, or can we get 4 for $1 million? And you may have to cut loose of a big name player that's done it for you. We're going to go through that next year and in the years ahead. So it's always that change factor to college football. And one of the big things, one of the dominant stories of this year, and we'll talk about it coming up at the bottom of this hour with Bill Pender from the Sporting News, there's no doubt it's Coach Sanders. Yeah. And today the battle got joined by the Colorado State coach. Woo! I don't mind one thing the Colorado State coach said. He teed it up with him, but I can promise him this. You don't want to get into a mouthing contest with Deion Sanders.
Man,
because he's going to back it up, too.
He is. And I've already seen videos from, obviously, the Colorado State coach. If people don't know, he was on his radio show yesterday and said while he was talking with ESPN.
Throwing that red meat out to the Rams fans.
Oh, yeah, just giving them what they wanted. He said that they had to do the interviews with College Game Day and everything because College Game Day is going to be at the game. And that he said he went in and was with ESPN. He said he took off his hat, he took off his sunglasses and said, I take off my hat and sunglasses when I talk to grown-ups. That's how my mom raised me. Obviously, if you've seen Deion in any of his press conferences or talking to anybody, he's always wearing his shades. He's always wearing his hat.
Always has.
And so that obviously got a huge round of applause from the Colorado State fans.
Yeah, right on.
And but I've already seen a video from Colorado practice where Deion is addressing it, and he said something like, I'm just trying to watch film. I'm just trying to enjoy my morning, and I see a video where they're trying to come after us. And it gets the team
It's
all he needs. Gets the team all riled. And we saw it with Nebraska. I mean, Shedeur Sanders after the game said that he took the game personally. That he said their coach was talking about my father and our head coach, and he was leading the team on our logo at midfield, and I wasn't having any of that. So eventually, depending on how this weekend goes, I think some coaches need to take note on, maybe we shouldn't throw shots at Deion before, especially on game week, going into the game with them. Because as Deion said after the first game, when it came to the reporters and kind of questioning his team going into the season, Coach Sanders keeps receipts, and he's very good at backing up those receipts.
Look, this is a guy that basically got in a fist fight brawl in an NFC championship game with Michael Irvin. Yeah. You think he's scared of Jay Norvell?
No, far from it. I would guess far from it. But I mean,
in the mud, in that playing surface, that candlestick.
Oh yeah.
Story goes, they almost didn't play that game. It was fit.
Really?
The Cowboys had a fit at it pregame and raised enough cane, and then the NFL goes, no. If the 49er fans would tear would play in the game.
We're fine.
But the Cowboys were trying to deem it unfit, unsafe to play. It was a mud hole, and Deion and Michael Irvin, later teammates and besties, it was a fist fight for 3 hours.
I love that. That's great. But no, I mean, it makes it exciting. I mean, obviously with game day, I'm sure this is going to become the main story of College Game Day on Saturday, leading up to that game. During the game, it's going to become a storyline. So it makes it entertaining. I mean, one thing that none of us argued when Deion got the head coaching job at Colorado was that he was going to bring excitement to this program and on a larger scale to college football. And he's shown it through now 3 weeks. He has shown that he's bringing the excitement, and it's going to follow him wherever he goes.
Well, he did. He promised a couple things.
Yeah.
He promised excitement. He promised winning.
He did, and he's so far doing both. So, I mean,
I'm digging around trying to find Colorado's schedule. So I think they
it gets
handle
tough after this.
Colorado State, and then it gets tough. At Oregon, that would be tough for anybody in the SEC,
Yes.
anybody in the Big
Yes.
Ten going to. And next year, I guess the Big Ten will go. Then USC at home.
Yep.
That could be return of Big Noon, game day, something.
Absolutely.
At Arizona State, home versus Stanford, at UCLA, it gets real tough. Home versus Oregon State, home versus Arizona, at Washington State, at Utah. After tomorrow, I think everything's a coin toss.
Absolutely. Well, and we've
At
talked
best.
about it. Oh, at best, easily. But, I mean, we've talked about it a lot. Just the Pac-12 probably is the best conference in college football right now. When you go top down in that conference,
That's
I mean,
something.
it's crazy, and it's not gonna be a conference next year. But it's top to bottom the best conference in college football right now, and so it's gonna get tough. But I mean, Colorado's shown that they're gonna be competitive.
I promise you, come national championship game, I would be okay with Washington. I'd be okay with however it falls out.
Sure.
But I'd be real okay with Washington winning it all because that would be a new team in the 21st century. USC's got one in the 21st century.
Yeah.
But and I think that's probably the two leaders that can win it all. Maybe
Right.
Oregon, and Oregon hadn't won it in the 21st century, so that would apply. And then you know who could have the last laugh forever?
Who's that?
Bill Walton.
Oh man, well, they'd really be the conference
Last year,
champions.
last year of the Pac-12, baby, we won it all. I don't do a good Bill Walton. Greg Gaston does. But we won it all. And then comes springtime. What if Arizona or UCLA
Oh,
won it in basketball?
I would really like that.
Bill Walton could crow forever. Told y'all, conference champions. Told you.
Well, the question is how much Pac-12 football does Bill Walton keep up with? It seems like in the offseason of basketball, Bill Walton might not be locked into many things. I mean, he's
but he's appeared on game day some, and he had the brother that played for the Cowboys. It was a good player at UCLA, but I don't see him kind of being the college football guy of Reese Davis or Chris Fowler. No, I don't.
I could see him spending his off season from college basketball doing things, but maybe not watching college football. I think he.
How
he
cool
probably
would it be to spend the off season with Bill Walton?
I'm sure he enjoys his off season. There's probably no doubt about it. He enjoys his off season, but he's probably not sitting down.
I don't need. And I wouldn't need to do that to the last 10 good working brain cells I have.
No. Who knows? I mean, you spend a couple days with Bill Walton, and who knows what happens to you.
It could change you.
It really could. Well, let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. At 3:30, Bill Bender from the Sporting News will join us to talk some college football as we get ready for Week 3. 3:45, we'll talk some baseball. 4 o'clock, Keith Smith will join us to talk the NBAs from Spot Track and the front office show. A lot to get to with Keith with some of these new rules coming in place in terms of resting and load management. So we'll have to get Keith's thoughts on those new rules at 4 o'clock. 4:30, we'll break down Thursday night football tonight between Minnesota and Philadelphia, the Eagles versus the Vikings tonight. So we'll break down that matchup at 4:30. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Tim Buckley from the Daily Memphian will join us to talk the Tigers and their game tonight against Navy at 5:30. We'll get to what's trending, and at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're sitting in the Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. The world's biggest spa sale, it's back and bigger than ever. 50 different models to choose from, 5 different manufacturers, up to 30% off in-stock spas and swim spas. Free upgrades on all in-stock spas, and the 24-month same as cash, it's still available, so get over to Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40.
If you're heading to the stadium, if you're heading to the game, let us know. If you're already there, tailgating set up, you've got something burning, let us know. Something cooking. Let us know at 901-360-8255. He's Brian. I'm Brett. Jay Morgan Harder's our producer. He's out today. Be back with us Monday, and we can't wait to have him back. And this hour is brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2023 models and always special leasing options. Call them at 901-334-9673. Big Tiger fans, big Tiger supporters through the years, and at the one and only Lexus dealership in town. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2023 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at LexusOfMemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day, Tigers are back in action tonight against Navy, looking to start the season 3-0 and 1-0 in the American Athletic Conference. And we've talked about it before, but right now, and I know there's a lot to it, the schedule, who they've played, a lot of other teams in the American have played some tougher competition through the first 2 weeks, but the Tigers, the only undefeated team remaining in the American Athletic Conference, and that's great. They want to keep that momentum going, and it would be great to start off conference play 1-0 with a win tonight against Navy. We've talked about it a little bit. We'll continue to talk about this matchup tonight, but when you look at the triple option, kind of this new look triple option for Navy, it could give this defense fits. We've talked about how good this defense has looked against Arkansas State, against Bethune-Cookman. Now let's see how they look against kind of this quirky offense that you're only going to see once a season. If they can pass this test, then I feel really, really good about where this defense sits going into next week when they travel up to St. Louis to take on Missouri. So I think a lot of people agree that the Tigers should dominate this game. They should win this game handily. I know yesterday we talked about the spread for this game sitting around 14. So, people think it's going to be a double-digit victory for the Tigers. So I want to see them go out and cover that spread. I want to see them go out and take care of business again like they did in week 1 and week 2. I think they should.
And we will know, we will know, first of all, main things win, but we'll know in what style. That's my top story. First, somewhat of a test for Memphis versus Navy. Look, any preseason prediction of the more favorable kind, 8, 9, and beyond, heck, almost 7 and 6, it had the 3-0 start. Well, 2-0's happened. Now, tonight, we'll see. Since winning the Liberty Bowl in 2019, Navy won the Liberty Bowl here in 2019. They're 12 and 24 since that. They've moved away from Coach Ken to Coach Brian. Better test than Bethune-Cookman and Arkansas State. But let's not make Navy into Notre Dame. I don't think anybody's tried to, or even into Northwestern. Tigers are a 2-touchdown favorite tonight for a reason. It's a must-win game. Time to be sharp, and you need that complete game. And we will know it. We will know the style of win as we see it tonight.
Absolutely.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, the NFL is back tonight with Thursday Night Football, back in the rightful place it belongs.
On the radio.
On Prime.
Right
Oh, it is on the radio, and you can listen to it right here on Sports 56. We'll have complete coverage starting at 7 o'clock between the Vikings and the Eagles, but we'll get Prime back. I know a lot of people don't like the Prime. Some people do like it. I like Kirk Herbstreit on the call. I think he's really good when it comes to the NFL. I know some people had some questions about how he would do.
Who's play-by-play guy?
Who was it last year? I can't even remember who it was.
I've never watched because
I'll look it up. I can't remember it. Brett, I was in the off season, so I'll have an answer for you here shortly.
Okay, but I don't know any of the talent. I don't know that I've ever seen a play.
Oh,
yes, I did.
It's Al Michaels. Al Michaels does Thursday night.
That's what Dennis Miller would call him those 2 years on Monday Night Football. He called him Albino.
Albino, I love that. But I do like this team. Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit work really well together, I think, on Thursday night. Seeing Kirk Herbstreit, I know a lot of people had question marks about him last year with him doing so much college football. How would he do on the NFL? I like it. It's different, obviously, being the streaming only. But I think we should have a good game tonight with the Eagles and the Vikings. I know the Eagles, I don't want to say they struggled last week against the Patriots, but they gave the Patriots a couple of opportunities late in the game to
Patriot
win that.
Receiver gets his second foot down, that game could have been a loss.
That was Keyshawn Butte from LSU. It twice in the fourth quarter that happened.
Keyshawn, in this league, you got to get them both.
Got to get them both down. I know you're very, very comfortable with just getting one down at LSU. Got to get both of them down now in the NFL. But it should be fun. Obviously, as a Cowboy fan, I'm really interested to see how the Eagles look in Week 2. Do they bounce back after kind of a slower start to the season against the Patriots? And then on the other side, how do the Vikings look? I know a lot of hope for Vikings fans, but after Week 1, even going into the season, a lot of the national media, a lot of people in that NFL world were kind of down on what this Vikings team could be. So I think a good matchup tonight, and I'm really excited to watch it on Prime.
My not top story between regular Thursday games. I don't mind way back the periodic Thursday night games, and of course Thanksgiving. Between the regular Thursday games, the 17th game, heck, 45 years ago, going to 16 games from 14, AstroTurf outdoors, preseason games. Roger Goodell and NFL owners lose the Player Safety Act. It's not about player safety. No. Between all those things, we know what it's about. Less would be more, if anything. But you know what is more? More. More is more money. And soon they're going to move to 18 games. We may even need less playing time for quarters. I don't know why a 60-minute game is so sacrosanct. I don't know why. Boxing moved away from 15 rounds, hadn't it? There's no 15 rounds left anywhere in boxing, is it?
No, I think the most I've seen is
12. Any division?
No.
Yeah.
No, I think
boxing moved away from that, just out there wailing on each other in 13th, 14th, and 15th round. Why not football go to 13-minute quarters? I mean, I know it doesn't have the ring of a 60-minute game, but if it's about player safety, shouldn't it have a ring to it? But it's not about player safety.
No.
Big facade.
It is, but they'll keep saying that. They'll keep going to that, it's all about safety. It's all about safety. I haven't seen it yet, but hey, maybe.
It's about a big old class action lawsuit they don't want to be the defendant in.
You're absolutely right about that. But I'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break of the day. And when we come back, we'll talk college football with Bill Bender.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
We interrupt this broadcast for special news and information concerning family leisure.
The world's biggest spa sale is back and bigger than ever at Family Leisure. How is that possible? Well, let me tell you. You start off with 50 different spa models to choose from 5 different manufacturers. Then you throw in up to 30% off in-stock spas and swim spas. But is that all? Oh, no. You get free upgrades on all in-stock spas, plus 24 months, same as cash. Wow! This is the kind of sale that you just can't have every day. But it's happening right now at Family Leisure, the world's biggest spa sale. Soak in the savings right now at Family Leisure, Witten Road and I-40. You know the place where family and fun come together.
Please remain calm and walk. Don't run to Family Leisure. And now back to your regular programming.
NFL Sunday Ticket is now on YouTube and YouTube TV, which means that it just got easier to be an NFL fan, even if you live far away. Like maybe you like the Bears, but but you're hibernating in Panthers territory. But with NFL Sunday Ticket, your out-of-market team is never more than a short distance away. Specifically, the distance from you to your remote control. NFL Sunday Ticket, now on YouTube and YouTube TV. Go to youtube.com/NFLST to get $50 off.
Terms and embargoes apply. Offer ends 9/19. No refund. Subscription auto renews.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wollo said hello.
Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use. You can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in Tennessee. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789.
NFL Sunday Ticket offer ends 9/18/23. No refunds. Terms and embargoes apply. $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket, not YouTube TV. YouTube TV base plan required to watch YouTube TV. Redemption requires a Google account and current form of payment. Commercial use excluded. Subscription renews. Cancel anytime.
Joining Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan now on Sportstime is Bill Bender, national college football writer for the Sporting News, and on Twitter X @BillBender. Here's Bill with Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan.
Welcome back into Sports Time. We're joined by Bill Bender from the Sporting News to talk some college football as we're getting ready for Week 3 in college football. Bill, thanks so much for joining us. Obviously, a lot to get to with Week 3 coming up, but we talked a lot to open the show about Colorado, their upcoming game against Colorado State. Jay Norvell made it interesting with his comments on the coaching show, and now Coach Sanders has responded to those at his team's practice. What have you made of this Colorado team through 2 weeks? Still probably the most intriguing team in college football, and now it seems like they're taking this one personally against Colorado State.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't care what people wear to the press conference, to the sideline, to the game, but if you order it up, so to speak, I mean, you got to expect Dion to say something back. It is what it is. It's going to add some flip. I think Colorado is going to beat them handily anyway, and then it creates an interesting couple weeks. You know, if they can get through this Saturday, this stretch of games between Oregon and USC, they have 2 of the top 5 watched games this year. At the end of the month, I think they're going to have 4 of the top 7.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and they've been great TV. They've been great on the field, and it's translated. And Saturday will be quite the show. We just got through going over that schedule. After this Saturday, though, it's for keepers.
Yeah, I mean, it does. And, I mean, to get off to a 3-0 start is nice. I mean, Dion, there's substance. I've told you guys all along, you know, I thought I didn't know Shedeur Sanders was going to be this good. I didn't know Travis Hunter was going to play that many snaps.
Yeah.
But I know with the coaching and the coordinators that Dion has around him that this is a good football team. And good enough to make it interesting in the Pac-12, which with 8 ranked teams and, you know, quarterbacks all over the place that can play at a high level, I'd say if we were taking them to New York this week, they'd probably have 3 of the 4 guys going.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, sticking in the Pac-12 over at USC, I've been able to catch a couple of their games to start the year, and I've really been drawn in to this offense. Caleb Williams back, and with some of their weapons they have, the true freshman Zachariah Branch has looked unbelievable through the first couple of games. How good can this USC offense be this year in Pac-12 play?
They're the most flawless offense in the country, and the way that Caleb's conducting it is, I mean, flawless would be the word I'm using. And they have a bye. They've played 3 games. his 12 touchdowns, no interceptions. Right now, he's the Heisman front runner because sometimes these guys have a Heisman jinx or a Heisman hangover, whatever you want to call it. There's been none of that so far.
Bill, I saw a tweet earlier today, and your colleague, our friend, a friend to a lot of people in this area, Mike DeCourcy, was tweeting and talking about the interest in college football and how it's really moving things at the Sporting News, where y'all both are employed and both do such a good job. And across college football, crowds are up, TV ratings are up, the enthusiasm up. Coach Prime, he certainly has a hand in that. Bill, do we really realize the powder keg we're setting on for this time next year when it expands? I know they're not going to go by the AP poll, and I know it's next year, but this time next year, if the season ended at the end of next year like the top 12 looks right now, we would have a Utah at USC in a college football playoff game. We would have a Tennessee at Ohio State, would have a Alabama at Penn State, would have Notre Dame at Washington. You think it's something right now. I mean, it's going to be mushroom cloud this time next year, how big it is.
I think Alabama losing has contributed to that, honestly. Because, I've made the joke, I think I've talked to you guys for years, and I've made the joke maybe 100 times that the season doesn't really start till Alabama loses. Well,
yeah.
The season started
early
last
then.
week. Yeah, it started earlier than normal. And what a great win for Texas. And I think that there's hope in Texas. These are heavyweights still, Texas, Florida State, USC, Penn State. But the fact that Colorado, and Mike wrote an excellent column, and he took a dig at me along the way. He said our page views are 50% up, and he said, I'm not the reason. And I told him, well, Dion hasn't covered me. Yeah, in the column he wrote that, in jest, of course. And I told him, I said, well, Dion hasn't covered me yet.
That's great. I'm curious.
I think he still could.
Yeah.
Even with the bad foot.
Oh, yeah.
Could he hang with you, Bill?
I'm getting a little bit slower at 43, so I think Dion would be just fine covering me.
I think it'd be a good battle, though, Bill. I think it'd be pretty competitive. You mentioned Alabama and that loss against Texas. I mean, I've heard a lot of people point out different kind of concerns after that Alabama game with that team. I've heard some people complain, obviously, about quarterback play. I've heard offensive line, receivers. What was kind of the biggest concern for you after that loss for the Tide?
The penalties, honestly, the bad habits that struck at the
alignment issues.
Yes, and that game wasn't any different than last year. It's just that Bryce Young wasn't on the field for Alabama to save them. I'll be honest. I thought when Milroe threw the touchdown at the end of the third quarter, I thought, okay, Alabama's going to win. I've done this column before.
Mm-hmm.
I've pretty practiced that one. I got it down. But Texas scored 21 points in 11 plays. So, the Longhorns were the aggressor. They went there and took the game. I think Alabama, not going to pronounce them dead yet. Others are. But I don't think they'll go to the playoff this year, which is probably the stunning part.
It is stunning, and I think they have. Look, in the preseason, I had one loss for them, and I had it at A&M. I think there's probably at least one more, maybe two in them, and of all things, maybe another home loss to someone in them. I think the thing that's gotten Coach Saban as much as anything is finally the turnover in assistant coaches and them being able to tell that Bama story and that commitment and what they expect, like the coaches that preceded them. I think that's the biggest thing. What do you think the biggest factor into Bama being in this quasi-malaise?
Some of that, the assistant coach turnover, the lack of a dynamic running game. The quarterbacks were the separator on Saturday. Quinn Ewers played great, threw the ball down the field, made the throws when he had to, and Milroe had the one miss, especially on that wheel route, that really could have been a difference maker in the game. But that's one thing. The secondary isn't as dominant. They don't have a Will Anderson pass rusher. They're still really talented, though. I was talking to Tim Tebow about that this week. He had some good stuff for us at Sporting News, and he said they're not that far off. The talent's still there. It's just, like I said, those old habits, the penalties, those kind of things, they get you in trouble.
Absolutely. Talking to Bill Bender from the Sporting News. I'm curious, kind of going up to Pac-10 country up around you. Penn State, first 2 weeks, a win against West Virginia, took care of business against Delaware. Now they kind of start Pac-12 play this week at Illinois. A really good into the season for Penn State last year. How good can this team be this year, and have you been sold on what they've done through the first 2 games?
They're good. They've got a quality running game. They've got a quarterback that stepped in and played well. They remind me of Michigan last year with the talent that they have. Problem with that is Michigan's better this year too.
Yeah.
Ohio State's still super talented, figuring some things out at the quarterback position, but they do have that's who they're rolling with. And all it takes is one game. If Ohio State just Notre Dame next week, we'll be talking about how great they are and how they're finally settled in. So all 3 of those teams kind of, in a race. Michigan, we haven't learned too much because they're in control, other than J.J. McCarthy's taking the next step for them, and I think that's one of the differences between the 3.
A battle of undefeated teams this Saturday. Minnesota with P.J. Fleck, they go to North Carolina. Sneaky good, quiet game, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll be a fun game between those 2. Drake May and that North Carolina defense is improved around him, so he doesn't have to just go out there and total 500 yards. They got a running game to support him. They survived the trap game last week against App State, and they're at home. Minnesota's physical defense, good safeties. Running game's been okay. Offense not the greatest, but they like to control the clock and do those things. So I do like that game. I think North Carolina wins. I think it'll be a lot of fun figuring it out. Both teams pretty solid.
Another matchup of undefeated teams, it will be Washington going to East Lansing, and there will be no Mel Tucker on the sideline. Michigan State 2-0, but with a lot swirling around that program against 2-0 Washington.
I don't think Mel Tucker is going to coach another game there. That's what came out after what came out last week, and I know some of it's playing out on social media now, and there's a little back and forth there. But yeah, I think that puts a damper on not only the program, but this weekend where, Michigan State looks solid the first couple weeks. Noah Kim threw the ball down the field well. They had a running game. Their defense gets off the field on 3rd down, second best in the country.
But that's not the story.
No.
Right. And now they're playing this Washington team that can throw it around, and Michael Penix is playing as good as anybody. So how do these kids react? That's always anybody's guess, Brett. But it'd be something if Michigan State won that game. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, last thing for you, Bill, another game this weekend, Tennessee going down to the Swamp to take on Florida. And right now, Tennessee only a 6-point favorite. Obviously, here we've got a lot of Tennessee fans, and I've heard some people kind of raise their concern level for this Tennessee offense with Joe Milton at quarterback. What have you thought about the Volunteers and in this game Saturday against Florida in the Swamp?
It's going to be they haven't won there in 20 years. So obviously Florida's done some things right. They've been a victim of some wonky finishes. There's no doubt about that. I do think Tennessee will win the game. I think the running game will be a big separator. They average like 260 yards on the ground right now. And Florida's offense still a little inconsistent. But again, a team that's not as far off as we think and is certainly going to play with surprise. Last year, that was closer than it should have been. This year, I'm wondering if it'll be closer than it should be. So I think Florida will hang around, but Tennessee will win the game.
Yeah, should be a good game. Well, Bill, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next week.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me on. Take care.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you very much, Bill. Bill Bender from the Sporting News, and good stuff. And that 2 games I asked him about at the end, those 2-0 matchups, kind of been lost this weekend. Everybody kind of one eye on next weekend in the big games, and kind of a lot of eyes on Coach Sanders and should be. But there are some good 2-0 matchups out there. There are a lot of great locations for Jason Daly. Let me tell you about them. One at Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland. One at Olive Branch, and also in Cordova. Healthy, first franchise in the nation to be trans fat-free food. Whether it's to dine in, to go, or delivery, stop by there right now on your way out to the Tigers game tonight for watch parties, any group, any event. They've got you covered. And for your event, 5 or 5,000, They have you covered same day, last minute orders welcomed. When you feel like I ain't gotten it done correctly, I can't pull this off, call Jason's Deli. Let them step in. That's when they excel. Professional setup included with delivery by their delivery drivers who all have food handling permits, all foods free from dyes, artificial trans fats, house accounts available for all that great food. Wholesome food forever. It's a family thing. It's all about choice at Jason's Deli. Regardless if you seek a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids meals, you'll be delighted at Jason's Deli. And in all those locations, the great salad bar. Over 30 items to choose from just from that salad bar, and you can prepare it however you'd like, or you could order a salad off the menu, like the chicken Caesar salad, the taco salad, my favorite, the Big Chef salad, the nutty mix-up salad, all the breads, all the spreads, all the meats, cheeses, they've got it for you at Jason's Deli. Catering anytime, anywhere, and at these locations like Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Cordova and Olive Branch, complimentary free ice cream. Check them out online as well at jasonsdeli.com.
Let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk some baseball.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Sports and blinds, they just go together. And right now, all Sports 56 listeners get $50 off any order at Blinds Etc. South. Real wood, 3.5 to 4.5 inch plantation shutters made in the Mid-South are always affordable at Blinds Etc. South. And now get $50 off your order. Get your free in-home consultation at 901-681-0225 or go to blindsetcetera.southllc.com. Upgrade your home with custom-made plantation shutters and window treatments from Blinds Etc. South. 7.
12. What are we playing?
Central Barbecue has 7 different kinds of sandwiches.
Okay, does that seem like a lot?
Are you kidding? 7 may be the most perfect amount of sandwiches. See, they get the pulled pork. You can get chopped on request. Then trim sliced beef brisket sandwich. There's 2 right there.
I'm not sure exactly.
Look, you've also got the pulled chicken, the smoked turkey, the marinated portobello mushroom sandwich.
That seems like plenty.
You would think, but then you also got the smoked sausage and the barbecue bologna sandwich.
You're right. 7 may be the perfect amount of sandwiches.
The people at Central Barbecue are genius.
Nothing slows my little girl down, except the stuffy nose. Mommy. That's why I use Sinex Children's Saline from Vicks. Sinex instantly clears mucus in everyday stuffy little noses with a gentle, ultra-fine mist designed for kids. Just Sinex? Breathe. Her stuffy nose is gone for now. And so is she.
Sinex Children's Saline. Sinex, breathe. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
Your equipment search ends here. Now that's a bold statement. But at Purple Wave Auction, it's true. See for yourself at purplewave.com. Purple Wave is your online marketplace for ag and construction equipment, utility vehicles, trucks and trailers, and yes, even a classic car or 2. Bidding is straightforward and simple. No reserves, no minimum bids. Ready to get started? Head to purplewave.com. Purple Wave Auction. Straight, simple, sold.
Howdy folks, Dominic Cunha, General Manager at Sunrise Buick GMC on Covington Pike. Our Western Trading Day sales event is here again. My ranch managers have been instructed to slash prices, so if you're looking for a great deal, don't look any further. New Buicks and GMCs, discounts up to $6,500 and a $12 million used car inventory. The Sunrise Ranch on the Pike is the place to go. Bad credit, bankruptcy, slow pay, that's okay. Here at Sunrise, we specialize in secondary financing and used cars below $69.95. Visit us online at sunriseonthepike.com or in person at 1800 Covington Pike.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Brian and Brett with you, sitting in our Family Leisure studios. And we talked a lot of football today. We'll continue to talk a lot of football, but we do need to talk some baseball because, like I've said the last couple of days, these wildcard races are really, really heating up. We've had some games already final today, so I'll run through those real quick. Pirates 2-0 win over the Nationals. Tigers an 8-2 win over the Reds that are really fighting for a wild card spot. The Red Sox won 5-0 over the Yankees in their makeup game from last night. They'll play another one later tonight. And then the Brewers a 4-2 victory over the Marlins. Brewers needed that win as they're still trying to fight.
Costly for the Marlins.
And very costly for the Marlins. Some other news, the Red Sox today, before their 5-0 victory over the Yankees, fired Chief Baseball Officer Chaim Bloom, who's been there almost 4 years now. And Brett, we were kind of talking about it a little bit during the break. This really feels like the start of the clearing of house for the Red Sox, for a Red Sox team that after winning that World Series, it really seemed like, they had to retool a little bit, lost some key players, but it always felt like they were building in the right direction, and then the season would get there, and they just would not be able to do anything, especially earlier this season. I know a lot of people were saying, well, they could be one of those dark horse teams that could surprise a lot of people, and they just haven't been.
But I don't think it touches the field manager. But how much does the field manager really factor in with a lot of these ownership front office groups now? Because they're by and large they're sending down lineups.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know if they're making in-game changes, but I wouldn't be surprised if they have a suggestion box. There's a big suggestion box all around baseball.
A lot of suggestion boxes around baseball.
A lot of them, whether it's at Park Avenue or in various front offices. And it's why with the Cardinals, I don't know how you have kind of the little broom and you just fire Ollie Marmol. I don't know if you do that without the big broom, and that's the shelving of everybody in the front office and the outward sign of the complete start over,
right?
And maybe trying to do what the Astros have tapped into, and even the Orioles, because I don't trust John Mozeliak to hire another field manager after these last two, and you could even argue the last three. No doubt Marmol, Schilt were huge misses. Even Mike Matheny.
Yeah.
This is a franchise that's had Red Shane Dietz, Whitey Herzog, and Tony La Russa as its manager in my lifetime, and you've gone Matheny, Schilt, Marmol.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. If you're going to make a move, you need to make multiple moves. It does not need to just be Ollie Marmol, because we've played that game. We fired a manager and hired a new one and see where it's gotten you. So I think if you're going to make
almost the same thing, almost a Xerox copy. I mean,
Brett,
organizational
maybe
guy,
worse. I don't know.
Maybe worse.
It could be worse, and with better players on the roster. So I mean, it's interesting, but it's hard to look at the standings and look at the NL Central in the St. Louis Cardinals. Even though I should say, Brett, 2 days ago you said 18-0. That number's been cut to 16. They've won 2 in a row. But it's hard.
You're not counting on it, are you?
No, I'm not. But it's hard.
Can you get any parlay odds, like anything like that out there?
Good Lord, I'm sure
for 16 more.
Who knows? I'm sure you can find something for them to make the wild card.
Here's something else I think will surprise some, just because we haven't talked about it that much. This postseason, right now, all these races are really close, and a lot of different teams could jump in there. There will be no on the field playing out seeds or any tie breaking. Or any ties. It will go to a tie breaking mechanism that I promise you, nuclear physicists would have to read to be able to to be able to explain it to you. I went through it last night.
Oh yeah,
and I'm sorry, I don't have those communication skills.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot. It's a lot.
Be mad at me.
I remember going through them earlier this year, maybe the halfway point of the season. We were kind of talking about this same thing and looking through them. And I remember looking them up and being like, okay, it says if this happens and this happens, then that happens and this happens. You're like, well, is it saying this or that? And I'm like, Brett, I don't know. I mean, it's so hard to understand.
I mean, it's down to the subset of the integer of the codicil of the original agreement. I mean, It is really complicated, but there's going to be no playing it on the field off.
Yeah, no, which is going to be interesting, and especially when you look over at like the AL West right now and how close that is, and really that AL wild card. I mean, you've got Toronto right now 1 game back of Seattle, and Texas is only a half game up of Seattle, and then you look over in the NL, and you've got 3 teams within a game back of that last wild card spot. So, I mean, I think it's going to come down to an end, and there's going to be a lot of questions and a lot of this people posting what the tiebreakers actually mean and trying to decipher how it plays out. But, we've talked all year about how fun this baseball season has been, and really coming down kind of this final straightaway, it's really fun to watch these races play out.
It is. The Cubs and Cubs fans, they love the afternoon results. They loved Marlins losing. They loved Reds losing because right now it's an only thing that matters is the loss column. 69 losses for the Cubs, 71 for Arizona, 71 for San Francisco, 72 for Cincinnati and Miami.
Yeah, so I mean it's moving in their direction. They just need to kind of, for themselves, turn around. They have the off day today, but they've lost 2 in a row now this weekend. Let's see who the Cubs play this weekend. The D-backs. So I mean, you're going to be facing a team right there behind you. That's going to be a really fun series to keep an eye on all weekend because every single one of those games matter to both teams. And but both those teams have kind of lost a couple in a row, and they really need turning around.
Did you get over to the Astros group no-hitter last night? Were you aware of it with notifications? Did you watch any of it?
I wasn't able to watch it, but I was keeping up with it on my phone. Glad we didn't decide yesterday to put all our money on the Athletics.
No,
because it was all Astros.
At minus 278 for Houston. I promise you, when I got the first on no-hitter alert, when I saw group effort, I hit delete.
Yeah,
not
interested. I mean, it's multiple guys.
I know it is, but
it's not the same at all. But hey, good for them. The Astros need it because that, like I've said, that AL Wild or AL West race is really coming down to the wire. So it should be a good weekend of baseball. A lot of intriguing matchups as we're trying to kind of solidify some of these wild card spots and even some of these division spots. But that'll do it for our first hour. Let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk NBA with Keith Smith.
Here from Thursday Night Football on Westwood One. NFC action coming up from Philadelphia when the Eagles take on Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings. Jason and Devin McCourty will join me in the booth for the call as Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown look to build on their opening game win. Don't miss any of the primetime NFL action coming up on Thursday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way. Offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Thursday Night Football is on, and it's only on Prime. Tonight, 2 of the most exciting offenses in the NFL match up when the Minnesota Vikings take on the NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles. Not a Prime member? Sign up for a 30-day free trial to stream the game. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern with TNF Tonight, presented by Verizon. It's the Vikings and the Eagles tonight on Thursday Night Football, and it's on Prime. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
Memphis football is at home Thursday, September 14th at 6:30 as they face off against Navy for Military Appreciation Game. Enjoy the interactive military equipment set up on Tiger Lane, skydivers during the national anthem, and much more. Tickets start at just $20 to witness the 901's football team in action. Be there Thursday, September 14th and show a nationally televised audience what Memphis football is all about. Purchase your tickets today at GoTigersGoTix.com.
Every business seeks an advantage, whether it's having the best location, hiring top talent, or spotting trends before they happen. And now, the United States Postal Service can give your business a new advantage. Introducing USPS Ground Advantage. Reliable and affordable 2 to 5 day package shipping. It's the advantage you need at the price you want. Get the Ground Advantage at USPS.com/advantage. The United States Postal Service. Delivering for America.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, Certainteed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah. Time to talk NBA with Keith Smith from Spot Rack and the Front Office Show. And on Twitter X at Keith Smith NBA. Here's Keith Smith talking basketball with Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan.
Well, Keith Smith joins us from Spot Track, also the Front Office Show, to talk the NBA. Keith, thanks so much for joining us, and I want to start off with the announcement from the NBA yesterday that the NBA Board of Governors have approved tougher resting policy rules and punishments for star players who sit out. What were your first initial thoughts when you saw this news yesterday?
Yeah, my initial thoughts were, I don't know how much this actually changes things and fixes anything. I think, unfortunately, teams have decided the priority is to have guys healthy and ready to go for the end of the season. So I think what we're going to see far more likely is we're going to see a rash of illnesses and back spasms and, sore ankles and things like that are going to keep guys out of games. It's just, that's where teams want to go. It's rarely the players who want to sit out. It's almost always the teams that are making these decisions. But the NBA is trying, and they need to, because their media partners aren't happy and the fans aren't happy, whether it be at home watching games or spending a lot of money on tickets, especially when it might be the only time a certain star player comes through the market. They don't like it when they don't get to see them.
That was really Adam Silver, kind of the raw version, the uncut version, the kind of the non-produced version. He even said, with the mountain of information that they compiled, and he all but said that they got kind of hoodooed a little bit buffaloed through the years by some saying that how it contributes. Then they did their own study with that and the rest protocols and the sleep protocols, and he said they could find not one bit of difference that contributed to injury.
Yeah, it's funny. I've already talked to a handful of teams that are like, he's completely out of bounds and he's wrong. And they have mountains of data that they say prove, the season is too long. But the reality is the players, the owners, the league itself, none of them want to shorten the season at all, because that would mean a loss of revenue for everybody. So they're all in a place where they're going to say, hey, we got to handle this the way we got to handle it. I think mostly what the NBA wants to avoid is the Golden State Warriors did it a handful of times last season, where it was the last game of a road trip or the second night of a back-to-back, and it was no Steph, no Clay, no Draymond, and we're basically punting the game. They're not saying you can't rest a guy, but what they don't want is they don't want you resting the entire team and basically going out there with a completely inferior product. And I can't really blame them for that. You want the best you can have out there at all times. But again, I think it's, Adam Silver kind of making it almost a fight with the teams seems like a little bit of an odd choice, because I do think the teams have data that shows, hey, we play too much, and we play too much with this amount of travel and all the things that go into it. But, here we are. This is going to be what it's going to be, and we'll see how it works over the course of the next year or two.
Well, and you mentioned it about how, no teams are out here listing on their injury report rest or load management. It's always some sort of, ankle injury or something. And you mentioned the sickness. We're going to see a lot more sickness. How will the NBA be able to kind of dictate when a team is resting and when there's actually a minor injury that a player's sitting out for? I mean, are we going to get to the point where we need doctor's notes or something submitted to the NBA? I mean, how will the NBA be able to draw a line of this person's actually injured and this team's just trying to rest their stars?
Yeah, it does feel a little bit like that. Like, hey, you skipped work and so-and-so said they saw you at the beach.
Yeah.
I need a doctor's note for this one. Yeah, I think what oddly is a side effect of this is I think the league to some extent is encouraging the open resting of players, because I think what you're going to see happen here is teams are now going to be more forthcoming when it is, hey, we're resting player X because we can rest. We just can't rest more than one star player per game. But, to the injury side, they are, they have said they can open an investigation, which my guess is that means if the league feels like, you sat out these 2 or 3 guys, they're going to get with the team's medical staff, they're going to probably say, hey, we want our independent board to review what you're saying kept the guy out. Now, how are you going to get there with, he said he has a sore throat or he said he has a sore back? Sometimes those things, don't show up and that sort of stuff. So I think it's going to be a lot of, just back and forth kind of figuring out. Where the NBA will get in trouble is if they start picking and choosing how they, discipline teams with these kind of things, because that's going to be where it's trouble. Or if players get very, very open about, hey, I wanted to play, but the team said I couldn't, or said, nah, your back is too sore, my back is fine, that's where there's going to be trouble too.
No question about it. Keith Smith with us, talking all things NBA. One more question on that. And Keith, you mentioned, hey, I got a bad ankle. Well, nobody really knows if you do or don't. And now, and we want to be extra sensitive, extremely cautious to it and aware of it. But what if somebody just said, I needed the night off for mental health? You almost can't deny them, because in an extreme example, no, you're playing, get in there and act fine. Well, no, and then if something happened, then the NBA would get criticism like they can't imagine.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's why they didn't go, all the way to no one can ever sit out. They left it as, hey, you can have, one of your star players sitting out for, a rest reason or those lines. But yeah, the mental health things they're going to come up to, and that's going to be a thing. The league has made major progress, both the collectively bargained items and just the regular kind of stuff, the way the league is handling it that's not collectively bargained around trying to, account for mental health for players and the like. So that's going to be interesting to see how they, kind of go into that, if that becomes, a cited reason for a player missing time. I think also, one of the things that the league doesn't want is, hey, player X is still healthy enough to play, there's only 15 games left. We're trying to get ping pong balls. Let's just sit the guy out. They're trying to fight against those kind of things as well. The whole idea, as Adam Silver said it is, we want, when players are healthy enough to play, we want them to play, and you kind of get where he's coming from.
Keith, we've talked a lot with you over the past couple of weeks about the FIBA World Cup, and over the weekend, Team USA lost in the third-place game to Team Canada. I know kind of going into the start of the FIBA World Cup, after both those teams kind of handled their first couple opponents pretty easily, everyone was saying, man, I can't wait for that matchup between Team USA and Team Canada. I don't think many people thought they would get it in a third-place game. I think a lot of people thought it would come in the championship game. But what did you think about the team's overall performance in the FIBA World Cup, Team USA that being?
Yeah, it's disappointing, but it's not surprising. And why I say that is they should still have had talent to win the World Cup. But it's not surprising that they didn't. We're no longer able to show up with, the three of us and two NBA guys and handle the rest of the world because they're so far behind us. That's just not how it works anymore in the international countries have all gotten better. Every single team that was there, outside of a couple, had one or more NBA players on it. I mean, Canada was loaded with NBA talent. Germany was led by either NBA players or guys who are on the NBA level and just don't play in the NBA. So, we're in a spot where the U.S. has to bring their best guys, and then they have to play their best. So, every game, they can't just expect to show up and have it be enough anymore. Nobody is putting as much time and effort into the pre- and post-game pictures with players like they were, 30-plus years ago when the Dream Team was around. Now, you have to show up and play. So when you don't bring your best and you don't play your best, it's not a surprise that you lose, even if it still feels like a disappointing result.
Very disappointing. Keith, I'm with you. I want to send the best, and I know they always don't want to go, but even our next best should be able to do better than that, because that roster, that 12-man roster, just next season will make $203 million. The head coach and the first assistant, Steve Kerr and Eric Spoelstra, 6 NBA titles between them, and a big difference between those other teams. They may have had 2 or 3 or 4 even NBA players. The United States had 12 NBA players.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's disappointing, I think, with the way they played was they didn't adjust at all. They got beat up inside by Lithuania. They got beat up inside by Montenegro. Germany beat them up inside, and then Canada slightly less so, but they still got a lot of work done. They played more inside out. But they played like an NBA style where it was, hey, we went with one big, where the FIBA game and the rule changes and the court size and all that lends more towards we can play with, we can play with 2 bigs, and we can play a physical game, and we can play a game that's, more kind of the old school NBA style. We brought all these, smaller guys, and even the big are, fours that were playing the 5, like Jaren Jackson Jr. and Paolo Banchero and Bobby Portis. The only real 5 on the roster, Walker Kessler, barely got off the bench, and you never saw time. So that's something they're going to have to adjust to, because it's not going to be all that different in the Olympics. Now, we're hearing everybody's loading up already, right? LeBron's calling all the buddies, and they're going to come and probably lay waste. And I'm happy to see it. I'm perfectly fine if they go out there and hammer everybody by 45 points. The problem is, as long as the World Cup is seen very much as a secondary type of thing, you're never going to get that star commitment. And in these back-to-back years, these guys just don't want to give up 2 summers in a row on top of having to play a long NBA season. And now if the NBA is telling them, hey, you got to play, you can't, be taking games off, you're going to see guys maybe be even less inclined to play moving forward, because winning an NBA title remains for everybody who's, an American-born player that plays in the NBA.
Is Steve Kerr the coach in Paris next summer?
Yeah, I think so. I think if they were going to make a change, they would have done it. Or I think what they would have done was he would step away. Now, maybe he still chooses to step away and kind of go his own direction. But I think, at this point, we can feel, pretty confident he'll still be there, but he's going to be there with, a lineup that, quite frankly, I could probably coach to a gold medal as long as they show up and do what they're supposed to do.
That's a good point. Talking to Keith Smith from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. Keith, earlier this week, reports came out about Kevin Porter Jr. in his arrest after the accusations of felony assault and strangulation charges against his girlfriend who plays in the WNBA. Obviously, just horrific details that came out earlier this week about what happened. And now you're hearing reports that the Rockets are trying to trade him. They're trying to incentivize it with multiple second-round draft picks. But in my mind, I mean, for other teams, I guess you can incentivize it a lot with these second-round draft picks and draft capital. But I think it's just a bad PR look for a lot of teams to take on that contract of Kevin Porter. How do you see it in terms of them trying to trade him away and some of those suitors that might look at this trade and try to make a trade with Houston?
Yeah, this is one where you have to separate the basketball from the salary cap management, roster management, from the just awful stuff that
Right.
Kevin Porter Jr. is alleged to have done, and quite frankly, seems like he did do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in this case, what the Houston Rockets are trying, Kevin Porter Jr. is a basketball player in the NBA. If he's not done fully, it's real close. We're not going to see him play NBA basketball probably for at least a year, and I'd be kind of surprised if we see him again, because this is a guy who's also had a track record of a lot of other stuff throughout his career, and I think teams are just going to say, forget it. So what the Rockets side of this is, hey, no matter what, it's going to be, he's going to get waived. He's not going to be on a team, so he's either going to be, his contract's going to be voided by the league, or he's just going to simply be waived and be gone. So what the Rockets are trying to say is, we want to use that almost $16 million to try to get somebody in here who can help us. And that can be this year and years going down the line, and we're willing to give up a draft pick or two to do that, to make it happen. For another team, what you're basically saying is, hey, again, either we're going to waive him and we're just going to eat the contract, or we're hoping his contract gets voided and we can maybe clear some money off our books that we don't want and pick up a draft pick or two and move it in that direction. So if you separate it that way, but I'm with you, the PR hit is going to be, rough. And these teams, if they trade for Kevin Porter Jr., you need to come out and make it very, very clear, we traded for Kevin Porter Jr.'s contract only.
Right.
We did not trade for Kevin Porter, the individual. And quite frankly, it's not going to be enough. I think ultimately you're going to see teams, even unless it is, oh my gosh, we have to do this, you're going to see teams say it's just not worth it. Let's stay away and let's go. And then, like I said, he's going to be gone one way or another, either by his or either by the team's choosing or the league. And then I don't think you'll see him play in the NBA again, because this is the latest and first in a long list of things that teams have kind of been the talent level that the
Keith, locally we have a very contentious funding issue for our FedEx Forum and for other facilities around town, including where the University of Memphis Tigers play their home football games. Got the new arena going up in Oklahoma City. Nobody's leaving anywhere, I don't think. I think the owners want expansion teams. What is the very earliest, and I'm not going to ask you where, but just the earliest that we would see Team 31 debut? What year?
I would say probably, let's see. So next year, we'll get the TV thing done in 2024. Hopefully that media rights deal gets done. I think within 6 months of that, they are going to announce that the NBA is expanding. Whether that is immediately announced with, here are the cities we're going to, it'll be 2 teams for sure that'll be added. I personally think it'll be Seattle and Las Vegas. Everything is pointing towards that being the case. So I think the NBA will announce either we're expanding and we're going to take bids from a bunch of cities, or we're just going to these cities. We'll see. And then I think it's generally about a 2-year process from the time the teams are officially announced, that then they get into, then you get an expansion draft, and we'll see. So you're looking somewhere in the range of maybe the 26-27 season, but probably more likely the 27-28 season would be the earliest that we would see new teams start play.
That'd be interesting. I know there's been a lot of rumors and talk about it, but you think we could get that announcement here in the next year or so. That would be very exciting. Last thing for you, Keith. I know Giannis Antetokounmpo, there's been a lot of talk about him kind of starting in this offseason, about kind of his free agency and what could happen here coming up if he could leave Milwaukee or not. And he's been very vocal about how much he loves the city of Milwaukee, he loves playing for the Bucks, but that they need to build a title contender around him, and that if he sees another situation somewhere else for him to win titles, that he could very well leave and join a team that could win him some NBA titles. So how big of a storyline do you think this will become? And in your opinion, what do the Bucks need to do to build a title contender around him?
Yeah, it's a big story. It's going to be a massive story, and we're going to continue to hear this stuff until something happens. Either the Bucks win, or Giannis signs an extension, or he's traded. It's one of those three kind of things is going to need to happen. Because what with Giannis's case, I think he's looking around and saying, "Hey, I already got you a title, so I can leave feeling mission accomplished here. I did what I wanted to do for the city of Milwaukee, but I want to keep winning." Yeah, he did, and I think for him, I want to keep winning titles. I want to keep going. And I think what Giannis now is kind of looking at is he's exercising what I like to call the superstar's right. He's putting pressure on the Bucks, saying, "Hey, I want to win. I'm happy to do it here in Milwaukee, but keep going. Keep adding, keep going." And that's what they're going to have to do. I think they re-signed Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez. They've added guys through trades over the last couple of seasons. I think if you're Giannis, what you're kind of looking at is, hey, don't cheap out. Drew Holiday is due for an extension. Drew Holiday is up next. You better do what you can to keep him, and you better keep making trades and adding to this roster. Otherwise, what it's going to spark is all of a sudden it's going to be, hey, I don't want any more first-round outs, second-round outs. I don't even want conference final outs. I want to be in the final two teams playing in June, for the title. And if that's not happening, it's going to turn into a lot of kind of rampant speculation. And this will be, hey, if you can go get Giannis, there's times when Giannis can take the floor and still be the best player in the world, and everybody will be lining up to try to get him.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it. Well, that's definitely going to be something interesting to follow. But, Keith, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next week.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Keith.
Thank you, Keith. Keith Smith with us, and it was great. And I thought really compelling what he was talking about on that time frame. He is plugged in. Yeah. Let's say he's 100% right on that time frame, while 26, 27 feels like maybe the earliest. Mm-hmm. Let's say it got slowed down to 27, 28. You wanted to get LeBron retired. You wanted to have him influence as the influence with the Las Vegas group. I think he's earned it.
Absolutely.
And he's got the cash, and he can put the group together. Whomever emerges in Seattle to be that ownership group. I bring it back to here, Bryant, and Dave Voloshin was the first person I heard in this market kind of advance, and Dave is a fighter of what are their options? What are the Grizzlies' options? Now, I don't want it to get contentious, and I don't want it to get to kind of looking into that abyss. And I said yesterday, I don't think it's any time for invective and insults at Robert Parra. It may get to that, but I don't think right now is the time for it.
No.
I really don't, I don't want it. I hate it's already played out like it is. But you could, I'm a little scared of this word, get into the stare down, two words, with the Grizzlies if you wanted to. Where are they going? They're not going to Louisville. Kentucky and Louisville, U of L doesn't want them there. St. Louis, you would have to let them know the NBA exists in St. Louis. And I love St. Louis.
Yeah.
They don't care. Kansas City, the new TV deal, it's not for the Kansas City market. You know who runs the Kansas City market? Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Yes, Chiefs Kingdom.
Where are they going?
It's a good question. I think when we talked to Dave on Tuesday, he kind of made a better point on top of that point of, these NBA teams, the owners and the governors of these NBA teams, they want that expansion money. And when you expand, especially if you expand two teams at the same time, instead of moving a team, they would much rather have those expansion teams and those expansion checks. And so I'm kind of with both of y'all of I don't see the Grizzlies going in there. Now, I don't want that to sound like you should take all the money. The Grizzlies don't get any of the money, or they should get the less amount of money because they're not going to go anywhere, because I don't think that's true either. But I don't know. The idea of the Grizzlies picking up and just moving away because of this, I think is a little far-fetched.
What are we're talking? Entry fee into the club, $3 billion each?
Probably, yeah.
$6 billion total?
Mm-hmm.
That's $200 per owner.
It's a nice little check, yeah. I mean,
per governor,
yeah,
whatever, congressman, senator,
yeah,
whatever you want to call him.
That's a nice little check, and it's Keith said it too. I mean, it's not a well kept secret that the NBA, one, wants to expand, and two, that they want to get in Las Vegas and back into Seattle. I mean, it's something that's very. I remember listening to Seattle radio when they were basically saying that they had been told that it was going to be announced this past offseason, or I guess I think it was going to be announced at the first preseason game of last year's season that they were going to be expanding to Las Vegas and Seattle. And it didn't happen, but it seems like it's moving in that direction. It seems like it's not a very well-kept secret that they're going to those two places. So I think the sooner the better for an announcement, but I do like what you said of maybe they're giving it some time, letting some certain things play out, like LeBron James, who has been very vocal of wanting to be a big part of that Las Vegas franchise, maybe trying to let that play out before they do anything.
And just so many places that aren't options. They're not going back to Vancouver. They're not having a second team, I don't feel like, anywhere in Canada. They're not going to Montreal. A third New York team, a second Chicago team, a third Los Angeles team. That's not happening. No. Tampa St. Pete's not happening. Cincinnati's not happening. I mean, there are just so many places that it's really not feasible at all. And that's why I hope next week, I hope we hurry up and get to a decision.
Yeah.
And we have some leadership from the mayor on this issue and the city council, and we turn this temperature down just a little bit. Fall is happening. We're going to turn the temperature down with this fall weather, and boy, it was nice out there this morning, wasn't it? And it's happening in Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet. Not only can you get a new 23 Silverado this week, you can get financing as low as 0 interest and 3 months, no payment. Your good credit deserves it, and you'll get it at All-Star. Come drive a Silverado or one of the new Traverse. See Kevin or Jeff if you want to do a custom order. And if you're a first responder, educator, military, recent college grad, healthcare professional, September is your month for bonus cash and much, much more at All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch. First exit down Highway 78. After you cross into Mississippi, Kraft Goodman Road, and you're there. See Kevin and Jeff. And they asked me to thank all of you who've brought their cars and trucks to All-Star to sell. All-Star's paying great cash right now, and you can get your check today. By the end of business today, first thing tomorrow, checks in your hands, even if you still owe money against it. All-Star certified and pre-owned section, it's loaded. Lots of Silverados, a Denali, Ram trucks, an F-150, a great-looking Mercedes, all for you at All-Star. If you need service or maintenance, call Jeff, call Sean in the All-Star Chevy Service Department. Remember, it's not the Pike, it's not South Haven, not Bartlett, Mount Moriah, or Collierville. It's got to be Olive Branch at All-Star Chevy. Find new roads to All-Star Chevrolet today or go to allstarautogroup.com.
Let's get to a break, and when we come back, we'll break down the Thursday night football game tonight on Prime Video between the Eagles and the Vikings. That's next on Sportstime.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Your equipment search ends here. Now that's a bold statement. But at Purple Wave Auction, it's true. See for yourself at purplewave.com. Purple Wave is your online marketplace for ag and construction equipment, utility vehicles, trucks and trailers, and yes, even a classic car or two. Bidding is straightforward and simple. No reserves, no minimum bids. Ready to get started? Head to purplewave.com. Purple Wave Auction. Straight, simple, sold.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every dollar you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
It doesn't matter if you're at the lake, if you're hunting, fishing, playing golf, or just playing around, Scooters Plus can hook you up with the mobility that you need. Scooters Plus has the largest vehicle and parts inventory in the Mid-South and the best service department. You can choose from ATVs, UTVs, golf carts, motorcycles, dirt bikes, trikes, scooters, and even electric bikes. Come in today to start or wrap up your holiday shopping with 25% down on Christmas layaways. Scooters Plus, 3425 Summer Avenue. Call Sam at 458-8843 or go online to scootersplus.us. Jenkins Floors and More in Hernando is growing. This family business started up 5 years ago with just one pallet, and now they have hundreds. Tim, the owner, gets calls from people everywhere and can sometimes save them up to 50% on wood flooring, carpet, tile, and vinyl. Jenkins Floors and More helps with renovations, home building, and installation. Jenkins Floors and More, number 6 East Commerce Street in Hernando. Also in Little Rock and coming soon to Tennessee. Call 662-469-9350 for more information.
For the latest from the world of golf, tune in every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 for the Golf Shop Radio Show, presented by PlayGolfMyrtleBeach.com, the golf capital of the world. Hosts Mark Greenhelge and Matt Blanchard talk golf from tee to green and everything in between. If you like golf, you're going to love Golf Shop Radio. Before you tee up, drop on in. Welcome to the Golf Shop, here on Sports 56. Real sports talk.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Well, I know a lot of people might be already on their way, maybe already out tailgating at Tiger Lane for the Tigers versus Navy tonight, but that's not the only football game going on tonight. We've got the NFL on Prime Video. It's also going to be on these airwaves. You can tune in to Sports 56 to hear Vikings versus Eagles tonight at 7. And while I'm talking about that game tonight, let me tell you about what we've got coming up this weekend on our station. Like I said, tonight, Vikings at Eagles. That coverage begins at 7 p.m. on Saturday. Ole Miss versus Georgia Tech at 4:30. That coverage starts Sunday. We've got you covered all day with the NFL at noon. Ravens Bengals at 3 o'clock. 49ers Rams Dolphins. Their game will have that's the night game, and then on Monday the Browns will have Browns at Steelers Monday night. So we've got your whole weekend covered for NFL and also Ole Miss football. But tonight's game, Thursday night game between Minnesota and Philadelphia, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but I think this should be a very intriguing game really for both teams.
This is the matchup. It occurred in 1968, I think at Franklin Field, but this is the matchup from back in the day. It was Vikings against the Eagles of the famous booing of Santa Claus in Philadelphia. I mean, a town so tough they'll boo Santa Claus. They did. It was at this game around the holidays in 1968. I don't know if the animus will be that high tonight, but the Vikings 0-1. And the Eagles, I think, a fortunate 1-0 Eagles home opener. And Jalen Hurts, he was good last week, but even Nick Sirianni said, I don't know that I played him enough in the preseason.
Yeah, and
didn't play him at all.
Didn't play him at all, and I was very surprised by how open he was about not playing starters, especially after only 1 week of games. And I mentioned it earlier, they were a little rusty. I mean, if you watch that game in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter, they gave the Patriots 3 or 4 opportunities to get the ball back and go and score and take a lead late in the fourth quarter. And we talked about Kayshon Boutte, who twice in that game on big plays only had 1 foot down in bounds and made an incomplete pass on 2 what would have been really game-altering receptions. And so it was a very close game between the Eagles and the Patriots last week. So I think you're going to see an Eagles team come out tonight. Let's not forget this is the same Eagles team that was in the Super Bowl last year. And so I think, maybe come out a little slow, thinking you're playing a lesser opponent in the Patriots. And so I think they come out with a lot of fire tonight, that home opener. I saw one Eagles fan got there at like 4:30 this morning to start tailgating. And so I think
he's right.
I think it's going to be a great environment tonight for that game.
I mean, it's a fan base that after winning the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 52 that they're eating the stuff out of the street, and that just wasn't any old stuff. But okay, that's how you celebrate. That's how you party in Philly, and they will tonight. Ole Miss is doing it. And I've seen others around college football on short yardage plays. They're running the Jalen Hurts play, the kind of crowd everybody around him and just get that big forward push. Ole Miss, they tried it twice Saturday at Tulane, once successfully, once not. But, and the NFL's talking about outlawing that play.
Yeah, I mean, but you're right. I mean, you're starting to see that not only with the Eagles using a lot, you're seeing other NFL teams start implementing it. You're seeing a ton of college teams implementing it.
Low man wins on that play. I don't know how I don't think there's a single option for anything but the quarterback to keep it with that phalanx around him, kind of getting the bush push a little bit too on that play. I mean, I don't think you can pull up and try the Tim Tebow jump pass out of it. When they get in that alignment in short yardage, what's happening. I mean, you got to get lower than the offensive guy. Tulane did Saturday.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be interesting. But for tonight's game, we do have some injuries on both sides. A ton of injuries, especially for the Eagles. Looking at it, we already knew Nakobe Dean is on the IR, but Kenneth Gainwell has been listed out. The former Memphis running back is going to be out tonight for the Eagles. Reed Blankenship, their safety, also out. And then James Bradbury, the cornerback, also out. And then Fletcher Cox, their outstanding defensive tackle, is going to be questionable tonight with an injury. So you don't know if you'll have him on the defensive line. On the other side for the Vikings, Garrett Bradbury is out, and then 2 questionable, Marcus Davenport, the linebacker, and then offensive tackle Christian Darrisaw. They're both questionable tonight. So we could see a lot of injuries going into this game, and I think partially with 5 guys either listed questionable or out for the Eagles, that might be one of the reasons that the Eagles are only a 6-point favorite after I know a lot of people were hammering them last week as a 5.5-point favorite against the Patriots.
I peeked into some Eagles Twitter. Yeah, I have those talents. I clicked in on some of it today, and a lot of these guys that are missing tonight, they would be ready to go on a Sunday game, a traditional Sunday game, but just this short week, and I've already talked about today, and it's not going away. I can complain, and so many others can complain. And it just hit me with Kenneth Gainwell and Fletcher Cox out. They're both from Yazoo City. Salute Yazoo City, the hometown of Jerry Clower and former Governor Haley Barbour. But they're both out tonight. But Thursday night football, it's here to stay. It's going to be a constant. Do they ever try 2 on Thursday? Kind of like we're doing on next Monday night.
Well, that's a good question. I was just going to bring up the fact that they're doing it on Monday night. Maybe. I mean, with what they're trying to do with Thursday night football, they have one team. It's not like they're on ESPN or Fox where they have multiple teams. I guess you could put one on NBC.
I don't think they contractually can play on Friday and Saturday.
No.
I think there might even be a law against it.
Yeah, no, I think there is. So, I mean, maybe. I mean, you could theoretically put they had week 1 last week on Thursday night on NBC. So theoretically, you could put one game on NBC, one game on Prime. I don't know how they would do it, but I
don't know if they'd want to dilute Prime.
And I don't know if they.
For that.
No, and I don't know if they would want to have.
How hard one?
Okay.
How hard one? What do we see first? The NFL 18th game or NBA expansion?
Who?
NFL goes to 18 regular season or NBA expansion to the 2 cities?
I think expansion comes first just because it really hasn't been that long since we expanded the season in the NFL, and so I think maybe give it a little more time. I think both are coming very soon.
Percolate a little more. Both are happening.
Yeah, both are definitely happening. I just think like I said, when we were talking about it just a couple of minutes ago with the NBA expansion, it's not a secret that they're going to expand. It's not a secret where they're going to expand. So I really wouldn't be surprised if, maybe before this season, maybe during the season, maybe they try to do it at the All-Star break and they announce the expansions. I think we're going to get an announcement very soon, whether it be this year or next year, and so I would probably have to say expansion.
Yeah, and with the new TV deal, and I'll bet you a lot of that will be negotiated, geared toward, kind of automatically involved in the expansion. But I in my Not Top story I had 45 years ago is when they expanded from 14 to 16. I just don't remember if it was that controversial. I know the impact it had here locally because starting with the 71 season, so 71 through 77, the Liberty Bowl got to enjoy being kind of the 15th Monday night football game. It would fall right in line with the 15th, and the date would generally be around December 20th, 21st, 19th or so, right in there, right in the holiday season, and had that big, massive use to football on Monday night TV audience following its game. And then for the 78 season, the Liberty Bowl went to a Saturday afternoon game, maybe a Friday night game. Let me check that. Friday night game between Mizzou and LSU, and then the next year Purdue and someone in 79, maybe Mizzou again. But that eliminated the Liberty Bowl being on Monday Night Football, and that was fun those years.
Oh, I bet it was a ton of fun. What do you think of the doubleheader we're starting to see? I think they did it last year, I think, as well, of kind of this 2 games on Monday night.
Well, you know what's going to happen. I mean, they're doing that now, and here comes they're going to do it another Monday night somewhere, especially when the 18th game gets folded in, just for the marketing and the TV window that you have for the inventory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, speaking of doubleheader games, I know we're not talking baseball, but I said before the season with these shortened games, I thought we'd get a lot more on ESPN, these Sunday night ESPN games that they've kind of marqueed. You see Fox on Saturdays. I thought we were going to get a lot more doubleheaders where you have these shortened games and you can run a 6 o'clock game and then a 9 o'clock West Coast game. And we haven't seen it really at all. I think they did it once at the very beginning of the season. We haven't seen it at all, and I think that's a shame with how good this baseball has been this year, trying to take advantage of these shortened games. I just thought that was a huge opportunity for ESPN or one of these other networks to jump all over and prioritize, and they just haven't.
I'm ready to see the final numbers on the shorter games. They're shorter. They're unarguable there. But for instance, this afternoon, Miami and Milwaukee, they were 2:33. Also this afternoon. And I warned against it early in the year. The Redbirds over 3 hours against Norfolk today. Nice. And I told you, in 21, kind of the new focus out of COVID, it was lickety-split. Slowed down a little bit this year, AAA back to a snail's pace, in my opinion.
Yeah, long games for sure, and that hadn't been the first time that you've said it's been a long Memphis Redbirds game, and we made the joke earlier that it seemed like you were getting the long games. It seemed like every time you went out there,
I get it every
that
time.
you would get a long game. Here's a little
248 for Red Sox Yankees earlier today. So that's pretty good. Anything under
good.
3 is kind of what they want.
And you're talking about the Redbirds. Here's a trivia nugget that you can remember for all time, especially after he makes his MLB debut. Jackson Holliday hit his first AAA home run earlier today against the Memphis Redbirds. So you can always remember that he put up number 1 against the Redbirds.
Detroit and Cincinnati this afternoon, 226 it was played
Woo!
in. And you're not even
fast
settling
game.
in your seat in 226.
No. That's a quick one.
NBA games take that long.
Yeah, that's extremely fast game. So, I think I like the pace of the games hasn't really affected much of what we thought it would, and so I'm curious to see how they do it. But I did think it was interesting seeing Monday Night Football. You're going to have 2 games, and it made me think. We haven't seen that in baseball, and I thought we were going to see a lot of doubleheaders.
Only an hour apart Monday night,
yes,
kind of a
yes.
6 o'clock or so starting, and a 7
staggered
o'clock.
Start.
I'm sorry, Brian. I wasn't listening attentively enough earlier. Which one of the 2 are we carrying Monday night?
We're going to carry Browns at Steelers. So
good.
I believe that's the
AFC North football.
Yeah,
Jay Morgan Harder style.
That's exactly the type
it's just
he
different.
likes. It sure is. It's different. It's not the same. So so that's the later one that kicks off. So as we do every Monday, we'll have Rebel Yell at 6, and then we'll go straight into that game between the Browns and the Steelers. So it's interesting, but it should be a good weekend of NFL football, and it all kicks off tonight on Prime Video with the Vikings at the Eagles. And like we said earlier, you can listen to all that action right here tonight on Sports 56. But let's get to a break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of Ariat jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Ariat just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
O'Reilly. Do you need new wiper blades but aren't sure which ones are right for you? The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts can help. We'll show you the best options for your specific vehicle and even install your new wipers for free. And right now, save $10 per pair on Bosch Focus wiper blades, plus get 2 times O-Rewards points. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Hey, this is Elliot Perry, former Memphis Tiger and NBA player. I love my city and want the best for our future. I want to introduce you to Paul Young, someone who has dedicated his life to building a better Memphis. Paul and I share a deep connection to this city. His commitment to improving the lives of Memphians resonate with me on a profound level. As the City Director of Housing and Community Development, Paul Young has worked tirelessly to ensure affordable housing and build thriving neighborhoods. Now, as President of the Downtown Memphis Commission, Paul Young is revitalizing our city, attracting jobs, and creating opportunities.
This is Paul Young. Memphis is my home, and I'm running to make it a place where everyone can thrive. Together, we'll make our community safe, invest in our neighborhoods, fund youth programs, and take care of our seniors. We'll continue the work I started in housing and community development, always putting Memphis families first. I'm asking for your vote on October 5th so we can build a Memphis that works for all of us. Paid for by friends of Paul Young, Cassandra Webster, Treasurer.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Every once in a while, a new concept comes on the scene and really upsets the old school apple carts. Well, that's exactly what Genesis Diamonds has done here in Memphis. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and Genesis Diamonds is a fresh, exciting, revolutionary kind of jewelry store that has forever changed the jewelry landscape here in Memphis. Fall is just around the corner. What better time to make that big purchase than right now at Genesis Diamonds? With up to 30 times what you find at other stores in selection, no middleman prices that we've never seen here before, with natural and lab-grown diamonds in all shapes and sizes, Genesis has something for everyone. Plus, free service for life on any purchase and a 120% diamond upgrade guarantee that no other store would dare to offer. Genesis has turned the old school jewelry retail model upside down with lower margins, higher volume, no tricky pricing, no pressure, and no middleman. Get to Genesis Diamonds today and get that diamond purchase taken care of. This is the value leader, and nobody can challenge them here. Check out Genesis Diamonds at Poplar and Perkins Extended. Genesis Diamonds, the official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand.
It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, I'll go first with my big number today. My big number, how about 37? That is the average points per game that Memphis has put up this season through only 2 games, which when you look at that number, I mean, maybe you could want it to be a little higher, maybe or impressed of how high it is, but 37 right now in terms of group of 5 teams, that puts Memphis at second in terms of points per game for group of 5 teams. The only team they're behind is Georgia Southern, who's averaged 49 points per game through 2 games this season. So when you talk about group of 5 offenses, Memphis is right there up top, and really what you hoped for, what you expected from this team, a high-powered offense. And so hopefully that continues to increase, and you can be one of the best offenses in group of 5.
Sure can be, and I hope it's a really good presentation tonight for everyone. I know people are starting to head that way and get excited about the kickoff. We're getting close. We visit with Tim Buckley at the top of this hour in about 8 minutes on all things Tigers, and we're all Tiger talk really in our final hour. My big number, 18. Ryan Silverfield, 17-4 is head coach at home of the Tigers. He's got to get to 18. He knows that. And also, Seth Hennigan, 501 yards behind Riley Ferguson for 4th. He's not going for 501 tonight, but in the next 2 weeks, he's going to move into 4th place in all-time passing yardage in Tiger football history. But tonight, got to get to 18 for Ryan Silverfield, and he win. And I think I'm going to make a prediction in the next hour on what I think the score will be.
Okay, I like that. I love a good prediction. I'll give you another Tiger big number since we're kind of all over the Tigers with them playing tonight. How about 0, my big number? Maybe the smallest number you could give for big number of the day. Right now, the only team in the country to give up 0 touchdowns on defense through week 2 is the Memphis Tigers. We talked about how good that defense has been. You look back to the Bethune-Cookman game, the 14 points that they gave up was on a pick 6 and a scoop-in score. So 2 turnovers by the offense that immediately led to points. This offense this defense, I should say, hasn't given up any touchdowns, only 1 field goal through 2 games, and that was last week against Arkansas State. So I'm really excited to see what this defense looks like against this triple option attack for Navy. And if they continue kind of hang that 0 up in a 3rd straight week would be extremely impressive.
You want to see something that's really gloomy, and that's last week's opponent. Okay. That's Arkansas State. And that 0-2 start for them, you talking about the Alabama game just cut and felt different. Well, this 0-2 is really Stony Brook Saturday in Jones Boogie.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people excited about that. In Southern Miss, a week after Southern Miss has played Tulane, then at UMass, at Troy. Rough for our friends, Arkansas State.
Yeah, it's rough, and we've kind of talked about it of, you should win this week against an FCS opponent in Stony Brook. But then after that, you get into conference play, and Southern Miss has been an improved team. They've looked good over the last couple of seasons. You've got Coastal Carolina in a couple of weeks that has looked like a better team. So it's going to be tough. What you've seen these first 2 weeks has been pretty disappointing, I think, if you're an Arkansas State fan. And so, you said it, I don't know how much confidence you get with a win against Stony Brook. Even if you blow Stony Brook out, I think, unfortunately, it's not going to, bring a lot of enthusiasm around the program. So maybe they can turn it around for conference play, maybe get some momentum this week. But you're right. It's rough to watch in Jonesboro.
And get some confidence. We know confidence can be lethal, but you got to have more than just confidence.
Got to. And after what we saw last week against Memphis, it does not look great for Arkansas State. But let's get to a break, wrap up our second hour, and when we come back, we'll talk Tiger football with Tim Buckley.
Sherwin-Williams during the 4-day super sale September 15th through the 18th and get 40% off paints and stains with prices starting at $26.69. That means 40% off our most popular color family, blue. Psychologists have found it to be soothing and relaxing, which makes it especially great for bedrooms and bathrooms. And of course, get 40% off all of our other colors. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, I want to talk about our seasoning and sauce today. Our sauce is a great blend of sweet, mustard, and vinegar. It's good on so many items other than barbecue. It's good on pizza. People use it in lieu of ketchup. But our seasoning is the original dry rub, created by my father using a mixture of Greek and Cajun spices. People think our sauce and seasoning are good just during the grilling season. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's good year-round. Our seasoning is good on fish, chicken, deviled eggs, corn on the cob, French fries. People even put a dash in a Bloody Mary. To get a complete list of all of our recipes using our products, go to hogsfly.com, click click recipes and you'll see 50 wonderful items and dishes. And Brett, our sauce and seasoning is available at most grocery stores, and if they don't have it, please remind your grocer to stock it. And our slaw is also available at most Kroger stores.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Virgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun. So you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
Now try Babbel free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Hi, this is Jonah Gamble, left guard for University of Memphis football. Let us help you use your home's value for all those projects or vacations you've been putting off. Now you can borrow up to 100% loan to value. No closing costs for loans $50,000 or less. Online banking accessible. Interest-only payments for the first 10 years. You can apply at southernsecurity.org or by calling our member service team at 901-452-7900. Southern Security is an equal housing lender. Southern Security is a proud sponsor of the University of Memphis.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253 DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn, Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we start our 5 o'clock hour. Only about an hour and a half away from first kick between the Tigers and Navy as they both kick off their American Athletic Conference schedule. And joining us to talk about the Tigers and this game tonight from the Daily Memphian, Tim Buckley joins us now. Tim, thanks so much for joining us. We're both very excited about this game tonight and kind of coming in. We've heard everything about Navy, their triple threat offense, what they're going to do, kind of running the ball. So what do you expect for the Tigers going up against this Navy offense tonight?
Well, a tough fate for sure, especially on the short week. Look, the triple option is difficult enough to prepare for on a normal week, but then you throw in the fact that this is on a Thursday night, coming back on, granted it wasn't a far road trip, but coming back off of a road game, and all of a sudden the schedule is condensed. And with all of that in mind, we found out actually on Saturday, they started preparing for this Navy offense even before they played Arkansas State, just kind of working it into some of their normal practice periods. So that kind of gives you an idea of the degree of difficulty just because of the fact that you don't face it very often. And then you add in the fact, Navy, new coach, and a little bit of twist to the typical triple option where apparently they're putting the ball in the air much more than in the past and much more than you typically would out of the triple offense. So definitely not an easy face.
Tim, we like to play a game on Friday afternoons. We're going to do it tomorrow. We kind of do a bingo card of what we think announcers or maybe some things that will be said over the course of a football weekend. And tonight, in just a little bit, you're going to hear it from the announce team, and you've heard it from the coaching staff. And Tim, you came along in my era where in the 70s, everybody ran the wishbone and every high school band played the theme from Hawaii 5-0. But you're going to hear this tonight. Assignment football.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no question about that. You'll probably hear conference realignment once or twice, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one, Tim. Thank you. I can check that off.
But I don't want to give away the whole bingo card. Although I did play bingo quite a bit, actually, growing up, because I used to go with my grandmother.
Right ahead, Tim. We'll let it rip. I mean, you got the stage.
No. I'll leave the guys and bands for you. But no, that will be key for the Tigers without a doubt. And you know what? I think at least so far they got maybe the defense that's capable of doing it. Look, it's just a 2-game sample, granted, and 2 blowout games against at least one obviously inferior opponent, another that's clearly struggling in Arkansas State. But you know what? They're super high in national rankings defensive wise, and they have an obviously improved secondary that Simeon Blair is just, to me, absolutely huge for. So, yes, a lot of what you're talking about there, assignment football, will be key. But if any Tigers defense maybe is up to it, it seems to be this one. Although, with that being said, I wouldn't be shocked to see another, maybe not in the 50s, but in the 40s type shootout game.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the defense because I wanted to get to that next. And you mentioned Simeon Blair. I've really enjoyed watching him through these first 2 games. But another transfer that has really showed off through these first 2 games, I've thought, is Chandler Martin at linebacker. I thought he's done a terrific job through these 2 games. What have you seen from him with that linebacker group kind of coming in with 2 returnees, a couple returnees, I should say. But what have you thought about Chandler Martin through 2 games?
Yeah, definitely a steady presence, an experienced presence as a transfer. We got to talk to him after the win in Jonesboro. A really enthusiastic kid. He was a good interview. He actually said it was his first time doing this.
Oh, wow.
And he seemed like a natural at it. He was super insightful, and I think that is reflective in the way that he plays. I think he plays with good eyes, it seems.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, with
Tim Buckley, our guest. I'm sorry, Brian. Go right ahead.
No, I was just going to stick with the defense because you mentioned the secondary. You mentioned Simeon Blair. Before these cornerbacks, you've got on one side DJ Bell, kind of a young guy that has been in the system, but this is kind of his first time as a starter this year. And then on the other side, it's really been Diego Brumfield, who has kind of started the season at that other cornerback. What have you seen from those guys? I know cornerbacks. When you go back and look at the Tigers these past couple seasons, there's been some really good cornerbacks. There's been some that really haven't met the standard at cornerback. What have you thought about these 2 young guys?
Well, I don't have a basis of comparison, frankly, having not watched them on a regular basis in prior seasons, having just come here late last fall. But I think the secondary as a whole just gives them so much more confidence in what they can do defensively. Mm-hmm. A lot more man coverage, a lot more taking chances up front, rushing off the edge. I think they have a lot more confidence in their secondary, and a large part of it is because of those corners as well, in addition to Simeon Blair. And so it just allows them to play at a higher level than they have in the past. Now, you really can't get a fair read, off of a game 3 for that defense this week because of the quirkiness of the offense they're facing. But with a Missouri and a Boise State and a Tulane coming up, it'll be interesting to see kind of where they stand midseason and if after those other 3 games, it's as strong as they stand after 2.
It's great to have Tim Buckley as our guest. You can follow him on Twitter at BuckleyTim18. And this morning in the Daily Memphian, he had a really good piece, or whatever time you posted it. It's not always morning. I'm still in the newspaper mindset, the old-fashioned newspaper mindset.
Yep.
But this morning, we woke up to a really good story. Must-see TV, you dubbed Seth Hennigan. Seth Hennigan's been around for a lot of football. He really is must-see TV.
Well, he's fun to watch. I mean, he plays with an enthusiasm. Is he perfect? Heck no. I mean, he started 0 for 4, and they had 2 3-and-outs at Arkansas State. But he improvises a little bit. He moves the ball around. He plays with a little bit of unpredictability. He told a great anecdote about the Toski Dove touchdown that they had in Jonesboro, and it was very similar to one of their scores against Bethune-Cookman, and how he just kind of ran down the sideline, yelling, "You got to study film, you got to study film," just kind of playing with fun, with some, enthusiasm, not really going crazy over the line or anything like that, or even over the line at all, but certainly, walking right up to the line. Even he himself said, he was lucky he didn't get flagged on that one. But guys like that make it fun to watch. So I have the little bit that I was able to watch, while being busy covering a different college football team previously. The little bit of Tigers football TV I was able to watch. Hennigan he's been a blast to watch.
Yeah. Well, coming into the offseason, you just brought up Toski Dove as one of those new receivers, but that was kind of the biggest question this offseason was how would this receiver group look with a lot of new faces, not a lot coming back from last year's team, and I've really noticed, especially in the last game against Arkansas State, Seth Hennigan really kind of spreading the field. I think 8 different players caught a pass in Saturday's game against Arkansas State, but with all of these new faces, who's really stood out to you in that receiver room through 2 games that maybe he's not going to be Seth Hennigan's go-to guy every single game, but one that's really impressed you through 2 games?
Well, I think it's huge for them that they got Skates back, and he looked super. And obviously, having Rock Taylor do what he does is huge for that offense as all. But even more so than people individually, it is the fact that he has multiple targets. It seems like he doesn't necessarily, Hennigan, that is, have a favorite target.
Yeah.
But the fact that he has, I mean, again, it's only a 2-game sample, but that it appears he has some dependable, trustworthy targets, with some depth to that. I think that's big for that offense.
Tim, we were talking earlier about every week in college football. It's kind of a season within the season. Week to week, things really change. And the tests go up around college football this weekend for a lot of people, and really for the college football world. It starts here in Memphis tonight. This is the biggest test so far. It's not the hardest test. And, Coach Nick Saban was talking about if Alabama last week, they didn't fail the final exam, but they failed a big early test. This is the first big test against Navy, and then next week exponentially tougher against Mizzou in St. Louis.
Although my Missouri Tigers struggled a little bit against Middle Tennessee, although they did win.
They did win.
They did. 2-0 is 2-0.
That's right.
Again, if something quirky were to happen one way or the other tonight, throw it out the window, because of that offense. I don't think you really gauge anything off it, but you'll have a read after the 3-game stretch that follows Mizzou and Boise State and Tulane, probably with Michael Pratt back, possibly with Michael Pratt back, the Tulane quarterback who sat out in their loss to Ole Miss. But it'll Missouri will be a test, although it's not in Columbia, it is in St. Louis. I mean, they're calling it neutral field. Obviously, it's not. The whole reason they're playing it is because that's a huge recruiting base and a fan base and a donor base for Missouri, and the crowd will, I'm sure, overwhelmingly be black and gold, as it should be in St. Louis. But yeah, you know what? You go get that, it's somewhat of a signature win because it's a win against an SEC program, and any one of those, no matter who the opponent is always a good thing. And man, if that were to happen, you can ride it from there with some confidence into not only a Boise State team that is 0-2, and don't be deceived by that because they opened up with two solid opponents, but it's you can go deep into AAC play. I almost slipped and said ACC. We all know that's not happening right now. You can go deep into AAC play, riding a whole bunch of confidence if you were to pull off an upset in St. Louis, and then follow it up with what at least used to be kind of the pride of the Group of Five in Boise State.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're talking to Tim Buckley from the Daily Memphian about the Tigers and their game tonight. Tim, you've mentioned it a couple times, extremely small sample size so far this season with only 2 games under the belt. You kind of look at who those 2 opponents were. But after that first game against Bethune-Cookman, I felt like a lot of people were really excited about what this run game could be. When you look at Sutton Smith and Blake Watson, the transfer in from Old Dominion, people were really excited after that game 1. And then that optimism, that excitement kind of turned a little bit after the game against Arkansas State. I think a lot of people after that first game kind of forgot about Jay Ducker, who was injured in that first game, didn't play. You saw a little bit of him against Arkansas State, but what do you think about this run game? Blake Watson got a ton of the carries last week against Arkansas State. Do you think he's kind of separated himself as the number 1 back, and how do you expect him to use Jay Ducker when he gets fully healthy?
Well, you sort of think that's the case based on the number of carries. I think it was 17 that he did have again at Arkansas State. But Ryan Silverfield has made it clear that he's comfortable just kind of riding the hot hand.
Right.
So they'll bring out Watson early. They'll rotate those other guys in. Sutton Smith was the one who went over 100 yards against Bethune-Cookman. So he's certainly capable of it. Do you give the overwhelming majority to Watson? Do you split it 2 ways and then some change left over? Do you split it 3 ways? If all 3 are fully healthy, it'll be interesting to see kind of how that develops. You certainly don't want more than 3. You want to be able to ride somebody, and Watson looks like somebody who can kind of step into that role. But you know what? If they're struggling a little bit, maybe you do see a lot more Sutton Smith. I think one of Silverfield's biggest frustrations, though, out of that whole thing in Jonesboro, and there weren't many for him, but the biggest was, the showing in terms of the rush game and short yardage situations, and he said that right away and made no bones about it. So that's certainly something to keep an eye on because that offensive line, it was winning battles against Bethune-Cookman. It did not seem to be blowing guys out, which you would expect when you have a higher level Group of 5 program going up against an FCS program, like was the case in the opener. And same thing, against Arkansas State. Frankly, they weren't knocking guys off the ball, and they'd have one issue here and one issue there and one issue here, and all those issues started piling up for them. So that was a source of consternation for Ryan, and we'll see how it goes tonight.
You mentioned Coach Silverfield tonight, 3rd game of his 4th year, and boy, if it was kind of counted in dog years, it seems like a lot more because it's nothing's been easy. 2020, in the middle of COVID, 2021 still extended COVID. Last year, all the heartbreaking losses. This 2-game stretch has been about the easiest stretch that he's had. And way back a little while ago, I was talking about tonight, it would move him to 18-4 as head coach for him to get to 18-4 tonight at home. That's very important for him, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. To me, with the start that they're off to, certainly, you withhold total judgment. Do you see where they are at the end of the season? Are they competing for the AAC title game appearance? Do they win the AAC title? title game? Are they back to 500-ish or barely above 500 and just kind of eking their way into a bowl? Does disaster strike at some point? Obviously, Tiger fans hope that's not the case. But if they took care of business, they did what they needed to in these first two. If there was any heat on Ryan Silverfield, whether it was from a vocal minority or whatever the case may be, that's alleviated at this point, and you just go. If you're Silverfield and the Tigers, you go hope you can take care of business. I hate to go to the cliche, just pluck them off one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
It's true, though. Yeah, it is. Cliche.
Yeah.
The great thing about cliches, they're time tested, aren't they, Tim?
Absolutely, and I've heard plenty of them over the years. Trust me.
There's a lot of them, that's for sure. Well, Tim, I'm curious. I know we've obviously got the game coming up here shortly, but it seems like, especially this week, the last couple of days, most of the conversation has been on this money that is coming in from the state of Tennessee for stadium renovations. It seems like most of the city is pretty split on what should be made out of that money. Some people think all of it or most of it should go to the Grizzlies. The other half is the opposite with the Tigers. I know you and your colleagues have done a great job kind of covering all of this from the start at the Daily Memphian.
Sure.
Where do you sit kind of on this discussion about that money coming in from the state?
In a seat with a huge pair of goggles.
Yes.
Fascinated by everything going on in front of you.
It really is. It's a family squabble playing out.
Sure is.
Yeah, and I don't think that anybody really foresaw it happening this way. Obviously the Grizzlies have taken longer than the city would like. We have to believe that they've made their number known to them. It's just the number hasn't become public. But to have that part of the whole puzzle solved, and obviously, Laird Veach and the whole program at Memphis is, itching to get it going, and just how much it does or doesn't factor into conference realignment hopes, who knows at this point, because it seems like things, at least for the moment, have settled down a little bit. But you know what, if it heats up again, you want to have something to put on the table. So it's understandable that they're pushing like they are, and you don't want to miss the window of opportunity. One argument goes, because the cost of construction and just goods and services continues to rise and could be exponentially more a year from now or 2 years from now or 3 years from now than they are today. But the other side of the argument goes, well, that's been the case for the last 30 years, so what's another few weeks or months or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, everybody's in a pickle. Everybody's kind of in a holding pattern. I suspect the mayor would like to get a lot of this done, before he leaves office in December at the end of his second term. Is that doable? I'm in the seat with the goggles on, just watching and see what happens.
Yeah, and it's got everything. It's a heavy political influence, a heavy family feud influence, maybe the future of Tigers football and for the Liberty Bowl and for the Southern Heritage Classic hanging in the balance. We can't do anything to disrupt the Grizzlies. Don't want to make them mad or anything. It's got it all.
Yeah, and you got a little Memphis-Nashville.
Oh yeah, that too.
Can't forget that
issue. I don't know if that's totally a reality issue or not, but it's certainly a perceived issue in terms of what they were able to land for the football stadium over there. So throw that element too, and it makes it even wackier.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out here in the coming weeks and coming months. But, Tim, thanks so much for joining us and enjoy the game. Let's do this soon.
Sounds good, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you very much, and best to you tonight out at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium at the game. And for people that are tailgating right now, I know a lot of people on Tiger Lane having a good time. I hope you stop by the commissary before you headed over to the fairgrounds area. And for tailgating, the party packs, the 6-pack, the 8-pack, the 12-pack, you can order it by the pound. You can get it any way you would like, and you can get it for any occasion, for tailgating, for game watching parties at home. If you're not going to the stadium night, but you want to watch it among friends, head to the Collierville Commissary with over 75 people can be accommodated there, about 30 at the original in Germantown. That's where they are. The Collierville Commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar are the original in Germantown. Perfect for a group, perfect for a game watching party, perfect for almost any occasion. Memphis style barbecue done the Memphis slow cook special way. If you're craving an easier way to order, text commissary to 33733. Start the feast with the great appetizers like the nachos or the tamales or the cheese plate. Then dig into the ribs or the shoulder, chopped or pulled on a plate on a sandwich. And those party packs for tailgating, it's a must. 6-pack, 8-pack, 12-pack. And the desserts, the best lemon ice box pie anywhere, the banana pudding, so good, and strawberry cakes, whole pies, they've got those for you. 901-754-5540, online at commissarybbq.com in Collierville and Germantown and the party areas to enjoy the game tonight, games all weekend, orders to go, catering, tailgating. It's always time for the commissary. 901-754-5540 or online at commissarybbq.com. Bryant, we've talked a lot today about the nature of this, the bigger test, must win, almost any scenario of favorable Tiger scheduling had the 3-0 start.
Absolutely.
That's why I think it's not even close tonight. 38-13 Tigers.
Wow. Okay. I saw earlier that the line has moved down to 13. So Tigers minus 13. We talked yesterday about that line of sitting at 14. I was like, I don't know if I really like it. 2 touchdowns. I like it now that it's at 13. I'm with you. I think the Tigers win big. But I did love what Tim Buckley said, because I've been so fascinated about this running back situation, because it seemed like after game 1, everyone was so excited about these running backs and, oh man, we've got the run game back. And then after game 2, it just completely flipped, and a lot of people
that's
lost
part of the
optimism.
test.
Yeah, that's part of it. But I like what he said, that Silverfield has kind of remain the same of, we're just going to go with the hot hand. And I think this year, especially, there's been multiple years where they've had a lot of running backs that you could throw out there. But I think this year in particular is a year that they have a lot of guys that could be 1s or 2s for other teams. And so when you're in that situation, you can ride that hot hand and say, okay, you're not getting anything going tonight. Let's go with Blake Watson. Okay, Blake, you're not doing anything tonight. Let's go with Sutton Smith. Let's go with Jay Ducker. You have those options.
You have a lot of options, and you have a lot of fun over at the stadium tonight, tailgating and enjoying Tigers football. And it's the first bite of the apple tonight in the football world, and we're getting closer and closer to it. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Hewlett & Dunn, Boot and Jean on the historic square in Collierville. They've been there since 1961. Charles Hall started working there in his teens, and now with his wife Laura, they own the place, known for all the boots, but so much more. Great clothing, accessories, and a cap for any team for any season, all the area teams represented. Still time for you to get to Collierville and get to the stadium with a snapback, very cool Tigers hat on. Western wear, work boots, safety toe or soft toe boots, rubber boots. For any occasion, they've got them at Hewlett & Dunn. From head to toe, they have you covered with every brand imaginable. Anderson Bean, Dan Post, Ariat. For men, for women, and also for men and women, they've got the clothing. Jeans, pants, shirts, shorts, outerwear, and the best duckhead collection you'll find. Charles and Laura Hall invite you to 111 North Center Street or to HewlettDunn.com. Go to that website and look at the store. You'll get a feel for it, but go by there and you'll really get a feel for it on the square in Collierville. Hats, sunglasses, boot care products, and every area team snapback cool hat you can think of, like the Tigers from Mississippi State, Tennessee, the Razorbacks, Ole Miss, they have them. And for travel, they've got the bag selection. It's top notch. HewlettDunn.com. But go by and please visit and say hello at 111 North Center Street on the square in Collierville at Hewlett & Dunn.
Let's get to a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
Memphis football is at home Thursday, September 14th at 6:30 as they face off against Navy for Military Appreciation Game. Enjoy the interactive military equipment set up on Tiger Lane, skydivers during the national anthem, and much more. Tickets start at just $20 to witness the 901's football team in action. Be there Thursday, September 14th, and show a nationally televised audience what Memphis football is all about. Purchase your tickets today at GoTigersGoTix.com.
If you want a great experience, you need to go to Genesis.
Meet Kendall Womble, who shopped several other jewelry stores but ended up at Genesis Diamonds with a bigger, better quality diamond for less.
Based on what I had seen elsewhere, I didn't know that this size diamond would be possible for me to have on my finger.
Are you ring shopping? Genesis Diamonds has one of the nation's largest selections of GIA-certified diamonds at the guaranteed best prices, bar none.
You're going to get the most value for your dollar at Genesis Diamonds. You're going to get the best customer service in town and probably in the entire state.
And that's what Kendall really loved. The personal attention, the relaxed environment, the no-pressure shopping experience.
This jewelry store was like home. It wasn't walking into corporate America. Nothing's a sales pitch here. It's all genuine. They're like a family.
Genesis Diamonds.
There would be no reason that I could ever think of that you would not go to Genesis first. And if you leave Genesis and try to shop around, you will come back to Genesis.
Memphis's direct diamond importer at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and join Ottawald Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawald is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. We got a little less than 30 minutes left in today's show. We're only about an hour away from kickoff between Navy and the Tigers. We just had a great conversation with Tim Buckley to start our 5 o'clock hour, kind of previewing tonight's game, talking about the team through the first 2 weeks of the season. But Brett, kind of looking ahead to tonight against Navy, we've talked about it a little bit, but what are some of the keys you're going to be paying attention to, you're going to be watching for the Tigers tonight against the Naval Academy?
We talked about it yesterday with Greg Gaston. You just don't want to give them too many at-bats, and you don't want them kind of breaking serve. A punt to Navy is not a good thing. A turnover, sure, because then after that offense is set out let's say they do, you almost get in that hypnotic state, and they sit over there. Then they kind of want to press a little bit when they do get in, and you just have to play your game. Matt White yesterday talking about the Mississippi State game last week against Arizona, and Arizona having that 19-play possession. Right. Well, that's what Navy wants.
Oh yeah.
I mean that they're the experts in that. I only had Navy winning 2 games this year, and they've already won one of the 2 I thought they would win. That game last week against Wagner, the other one I had at Temple in November. The loss last year to Army, that was kind of it for Coach Ken. It's hard to believe Navy pulled off 4 wins last year, and one of those 4 late in the year at UCF that played in the AAC championship game against Tulane later.
Yeah, you're right. And so I think, we both, when we made our predictions this season for the American Athletic Conference teams, I think we were both pretty low on Navy. I mean, new coach, that system, and kind of what do they look like. And so I think you're right. I mean, I think we all assumed they would win their game last week against an FCS opponent. But for the Tigers, I'm going to be really paying attention to this defense. I mean, this defense has looked so good through the first 2 games of the season. Can they keep that up against Navy? Like you said, Navy's going to want to run it. They're going to want to wear you down on defense. They're going to want to be out there for 10 minutes and run a 15-play drive, and you're going to get that every single time they're out there. They're going to want to try to do that. And so, looking at some of these lines tonight for this game, if you're all in on this Memphis defense and you're not real high on Navy, the under 1.5 total touchdowns for Navy is plus money right now. So if you're high on this defense, maybe go after that. I mean,
you heard my prediction, and I'm big on it. And mine would be 1 touchdown,
right,
and a couple of field goals for the Naval Academy, and I just don't see how they generate a whole lot unless the Tigers help them, and I don't think they will. The perfect scenario for the Tigers, kind of take care of business, have that second half where we can have national TV really telling the Memphis story. Matt Berry will know it. Oh, yeah. And also get to the locker room, because Navy all night, just that style, the chop blocking, going at the knees, get to the locker room safe and sound, and sit back the rest of the weekend. Yeah. And I say pull for Mizzou against Kansas State. You want Mizzou 3-0 and feeling good, and then go up there and the free pass next week. But that's next week. Tonight against Navy, Seth Hennigan, I think, will have his best game of the year. It's the other 2 games, the first 2 games, they've been good, but with every test, I think he'll start performing and passing those tests with even more flying colors.
Yeah, well, and I think you bring up a good point. We've talked about how the Tigers have taken care of business and gotten the job done early in the first 2 games against Bethune-Cookman and Arkansas State, and especially this being a short week kind of turns into a long week for next week. And so if you can take care of business early, have this game over by about halftime, and then you can kind of put in those backups in the third and fourth quarter, give some of your key guys some rest, and then really be ready with a long week going up to St. Louis in what should be a very exciting game against Missouri, a game that will be a night game on ESPNU. So I think that's the most ideal is continue to take care of business so that you can have that extra rest. You can have that long week going into Missouri.
And then build into the next home game against Boise that lost a heartbreaker last week. Yep. Kind of got blasted in week 2. Very dangerous 0-2 team. But that's in a few weeks. A lot of work to do starting tonight. But this game should easily be won by the Tigers. I did not get a score prediction out of you.
Brett, oh man, I'm not a huge score prediction guy. How about
your alumni status awaits.
How about 35-3?
Oh, I'll take it. We're real close then.
Why not?
That's real close.
I mean, I think
over and under. I'm gonna set it at 10.5. 10.5 over under passing attempts for Navy tonight.
Under. How many passing attempts do they have? I know everyone's been talking about last week. They kind of threw the ball around in their game against I forgot what FCS opponent they played, but I just do not see them throwing the ball a ton tonight. Now maybe that gets a little wonky if Memphis goes up big early, then you could see them throw the ball around. I mean, they did throw the ball 35 times last week. I'm sorry, that's Wagner. They threw the ball 18 times against Navy. I'll go
I'm
under.
shocked at 18. I was stunned at 35. I knew that.
Yeah, no.
I didn't think,
wrong side. No.
Last year ranked 128th in passing, of course, 4th in rushing.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to get a ton of rushing from this team. We know that. So I'll probably go under. I mean, I think you'll see more passing than we've seen in the past, but I would be shocked if we get into a situation where they've thrown the ball 12 to 15 times against the Tigers. I think especially starting American Athletic Conference play, they're going to want to really solidify that run game and try to solidify it early. But like I said, I mean, that could change. Obviously, this new head coach has wants to get more passing involved, and I think they trust their quarterbacks to go out there and make throws. And so, if the Tigers get up big early, if it's a 14-point game in the second quarter, I could see them try to throw it a couple times, try to get the Memphis defense on their toes.
If Navy passes it a whole bunch, the route's on.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think,
or the route has already occurred.
Yes. I think if they're forced to pass it double-digit times, then that means a big win for Memphis, and you've got to feel good about it.
You sure do. And the very essence of college football, think how the college football map has changed since they were here for the 2019 Liberty Bowl. Winners of the 2019 Liberty Bowl. Think of how the world and the college football world has changed since then, and for Army and Navy and even Air Force, largely left behind.
Yeah, and I mean it's sad to see, especially Navy. I mean, you go back to some of those seasons where they were extremely competitive. You go back to that 2019 season, 11-2, 7-1 in conference, and really dominated a lot of their opponents.
11 wins at Navy.
And was one of the we talk about Colorado obviously being a Power 5 school that's kind of taken over the nation. That's what Navy was in 2018, 2019, some of those seasons. And so to see, you said earlier that you had 2 wins for them this season. I don't remember exactly what I have. I have it in here. I could pull it out. But, I think both of us were very low on Navy, and so you're right. I mean, it's changed. Obviously, the passing game has become such a factor in college football, and so it's kind of leaving some of these teams behind. I had them 4-8, so only 4 wins for Navy is definitely a big change from 11-2, and that was only a couple years ago.
And almost impossible for them to have anything but exits in the portal. When I talk about you got to replace what leaves, well, they can't. I mean, on the fly, they can't go get a cover corner.
No.
Because what their charge, their very mission is much different than just playing football.
Yeah, so I mean, it's loss out of the transfer portal, not much gained, and you've seen that not just at Navy, you've seen it all around. I mean, I know a lot of people when they're talking about the military institutes, they point in the transfer portal, they point out Paul Skeens, who was at Air Force, was a 2-way player at Air Force, led the team in batting and was their best pitcher, and then kind of shows his stuff, and LSU goes out there and says, hey,
gobble him up.
We'll take that over here down in Baton Rouge. So I think you're going to see a lot of that from these institutes where they get guys, especially schools like Navy and Army that love to run the ball. You're going to probably see a running back or so that has a big year, and then there's a Power 5 school out there that says, yeah, we'd love for you to come run the ball for us, and they'll have to take that.
Like 2 years ago on that Sugar Bowl team, Ole Miss had a really good kind of that hybrid type player. You could play him at linebacker. He could also drop back and cover. Jared Springer was a really good player 2 years ago, and he was a Navy transfer. I mean, you used to never see Navy players transfer, and now people are kind of mining that to get their players. How do you feel about Army coming into the AAC? I'm very opposed to it. I'm not Team Oresco at all anymore.
Yeah, I mean it's not what I would have.
What's it add? I'm sorry to say that.
It doesn't
say
add
it with
much.
any glee, but what's it add?
No, it doesn't add much, and I think going from everything that's really happened, and it happened very, very fast, I think, from the Pac-12 completely falling apart, and then the idea of, okay, well, maybe the the pack will try to stay together. The 4 teams there will just try to add from the Mountain West in the American, and then Stanford and Cal going to the ACC and the American. The idea of maybe the American pulling those 2 teams into the American Athletic Conference, and now you're settling on Army, and obviously I think the biggest thing out of it would be having Army-Navy being a conference game, but like you said, outside of that, there's not much to it.
I think it stays standalone on Heisman Trophy Saturday when it's the only game, and for the last number of years, been on CBS their last game of the year. Usually after covering the SEC championship the week before, we know that's changing. So if it's standalone, it's not even factored into conference play.
That's true.
I don't get the appeal, and I don't get the appeal anymore for football only.
Oh yeah, I don't like the football only. I mean, I know we have Navy already right now as a football only school in the American.
Wichita State for basketball.
Wichita State, and so Wichita's in with baseball too. So I believe
that's true.
They give you a little more than what Navy's not even in anything other than football. Point. And so I don't know how it sounds like Army would be football only. I don't know if they would, obviously being in the Patriot League for all those other sports, but I think if you're going to add a school, you want to add somebody that can bring something in every sport, and Army just won't be able to do that, like I said, being a proud member of the Patriot League and all those other sports.
But the short week has been fun talking Tigers. We talked it every day. So much appreciation, Tim Buckley, to carve time in for us on game day. That's a big ask, and he was so nice to accommodate us. But we've had a lot of Tiger talk this week, and we will, of course, cover, we hope, the win tomorrow. But regardless, we will talk about it tomorrow. But if it's a win, then next week will really be Tiger talk. Mizzou and Memphis Tigers. That'll be the first of those reference. That's one already you can count on for bingo next Friday. The number of times the announcers will be Tigers versus Tigers.
Yep. Tigers versus Tigers. Zoo in the Lou. I hope to hear one. That's one we've coined so far. So, no, it should be exciting. Just go take care of business tonight. And then, like you said, we'll talk about a Tiger victory tomorrow, and then that excitement will just build. I know a lot of people have said, Tigers take care of business tonight. I think that just builds the excitement and more people willing to make that trip up to St. Louis next week for the game, especially with that game slated at 6:30. Kind of easier for people to travel the day of. So it should be very exciting. But let's get to our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli, with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises. I'm with John Vergus from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use. You can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in Tennessee. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789. NFL Sunday Ticket offer ends 9/18/23. No refunds. Terms and embargoes apply. $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket, not YouTube TV. YouTube TV base plan required to watch YouTube TV. Redemption requires a Google account and current form of payment. Commercial use excluded. Subscription renews. Cancel anytime.
Scott Graham here from Westwood One. Thursday Night Football gets NFL Week 2 started with the Eagles hosting the Vikings. Jalen Hurts and Philadelphia got the season started with a win over the Pats last week, while Minnesota dropped their opener to the Bucs. Join Ian Eagle along with Jason and Devin McCourty for the call, on air, and on the free live stream sponsored by AutoZone on Thursday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Thursday Night Football is on, and it's only on Prime. Tonight, two of the most exciting offenses in the NFL match up when the Minnesota Vikings take on the NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles. Not a Prime member? Sign up for a 30-day free trial to stream the game. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern with TNF Tonight, presented by Verizon. It's the Vikings and the Eagles tonight on Thursday Night Football, and it's on Prime. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn, Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskell.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, When they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, Brett, what I learned today is that my big number was inaccurate. About an hour ago, we did big number.
You're on that average.
I had seen the number, but I'd seen the kind of statistics, and I couldn't find it on Twitter again, so I went to this website that had all the points per game, and it said, and when I read the number, I was like, that doesn't seem right. But you know what?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to argue with? A website? They know more than I do. So let me correct myself with the actual big number, because I do think it's an interesting big number. Memphis, 46.5. That is the points per game through 2 games this season. I don't believe that website factored in Bethune-Cookman because it was an FCS opponent.
Yeah.
That makes it second behind Toledo, who has averaged 49.5 points. Behind the Tigers, Western Kentucky, 46.5. Utah State, 46. Hopefully, another big outing tonight. Maybe they can even improve on that. Either way, I think we'll wake up tomorrow, and they'll still have a pretty good average on points per game.
Bad grammar alert. Don't want to make your mother mad. A great public school teacher, but we ain't a math show.
That's right. We ain't that.
Yeah, all good. What I learned, in fact, just turned it on. I didn't know 2024 had started. Where's Guy Lombardo? Where's the music? PGA Tour started today at the Florida Nat Classic.
Wow, where have they been? What's going on? I thought this was the off season.
Had about 2 weeks off where the new tour season starts. But what I learned also today, all the Eagles players out tonight that would be ready to play without these Thursday regular games. You catch the wrong side of injuries on a short week, and it could cost a seed line come playoff time. I know everybody's doing it, so you have the kind of the same risk, but we know how fractious injuries can be, and when they bite and when they don't bite, just because everybody's doing it doesn't make it right.
Oh yeah, what I could have done without is what Colorado State's Jay Norvell said earlier today. I guess it was last night, but it became news today during his radio show when he talked about Colorado and Deion Sanders. He started by saying, I don't really want to talk about Coach Sanders right now, but as the show progressed, as it went on, he really got into it. He said that his players have a chip on their shoulder after being interviewed by the College Game Day people, because he said all the questions were around Deion Sanders, Colorado, and how good this team is. But
what about us?
What about us? But then he has to go on and talk about the way Deion Sanders dresses and how he wears his hat and his sunglasses during press conferences and during interviews. And Coach Sanders took offense to that. He said this game is now personal. I'm starting to think that some coaches are going to realize, don't go after Coach Sanders. His team's good, and they keep receipts.
He does. They do. And more bad grammar alert. Done got ugly.
Got ugly.
They got to be playing for something between Colorado State and Colorado. Find out what they're playing for. I could have done without this. Mr. Dark Space himself, Aaron Rodgers. Man, he likes the dark references in his first statement. Here's the quote. The night is darkest before dawn. I shall rise again. End of quote. He went all Leviticus on us, didn't he?
I love
it. I'm sorry he's hurt. I just don't see, and I hope I'm wrong, I just don't see any way with that grueling rehab for the next year that he comes back and plays. Zach Wilson, 8-14 all time as a starter.
Wow. The Rocky Mountain Showdown between Colorado and Colorado State.
Do they have bones?
Playing for the Centennial Cup. So
nice. I knew they had to be playing for something.
Yeah.
I wish I was beaming to the fairgrounds tonight to the game. That'd be the only way I could get there. I'm sorry I can't, but I'm ready to watch. And if the Tigers somehow, if they lost, that means somebody paid $30 to see BC and $30 to see Navy.
Yeah, that's right. But I'll beam to the game. I'll skip the traffic and beam over there into my seat.
Nice.
Should be a really good game tonight. There's a couple of baseball games, obviously the NFL game, but all of our eyes are going to be on Tigers versus Navy tonight. But that's all the time we have. Enjoy your night. If you're driving to the game, be safe, have fun. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
My friends at Miramichi are